Well. Welcome back, everybody, to the Daily Cooking Show, to the Daily Cooking Stream. If you're watching this live, it is currently 5 p.m. EDT. It is April 7th, at least for my time, at least. Hello. Welcome on in, everybody. I'm super excited for today's stream. I'm really excited to get into everything that we'll be doing today. And then I see that we have all of my lovely little sous chefs in the chat. Hello to Chill Wizard. Hello to Everglee. Hello to August and Ryan. Hello to Laz. Hello to Jack. Hello to Jestilins. Hello to Trash Can Cat Mom. Hello to Dolingo Has My Family. Hello to Two Dads Kissing. Hello. It's good to have all of you. Also to Lena Chats. So I'm really excited about today's stream. Today's going to be a really good one. Today might be on the slightly shorter end of things, so I'm going to be taking it nice and slow today. Today, we're going to be doing something. Also, hello to Devil's Foods. Welcome on in. Today, we're going to be doing something that I feel like not enough people know about. We're going to be doing and talking about one of my favorite cuisines. And we're going to be doing some Georgian food today from the country of Georgia, not the state of Georgia. And I'm really excited to get into it. I'm really excited to talk about it a little bit. Georgian food is something that I grew up eating. A lot of people, especially those that have like families that came from the USSR, there's a very strong restaurant culture, especially in New York, especially within Brooklyn, of a lot of Georgian restaurants. And so I grew up eating a lot of Georgian food, but this is not particularly a demographic that is commonly represented within the United States. It's not a particularly massive country, and it's not a country that many people know about the culture or the practices or the cuisine of. And so that's something I'm really excited to talk about today. I have never made any kind of Georgian food before. It is something that I grew up eating at restaurants, and so I would like to be able to replicate some of the things that I loved going out to eat, to be able to replicate some of those dishes, and we'll talk about some of those concepts and fundamentals. Hello to Dakota. Welcome on in. It's lovely to have you. Welcome. So my friends, let's talk about Georgian cuisine really quickly. So Georgia, right, little country, post-USSR, it's southwest of Russia or so. But the really exciting thing to really consider about Georgia is it is almost at the center of so many different cultures. It's at the center of so many very big different cuisines. You have a lot of Middle Eastern influence, especially Turkish influence, because I believe they share a border. Georgia also, I believe like a good chunk of the shore is with like the Black Sea. So you're getting some of the Eastern Europe, you're getting some Baltic influence, you're getting Russian influence as well. You also have some mild Chinese influence on the cuisine as well. You have a bunch of different countries, a bunch of different cultures, a bunch of different cuisines surrounding Georgia, and as a result, Georgia and its surrounding places like Azerbaijan and Armenia, they all have really fascinating cuisine that people do not talk about enough. And so, I'm really excited to get into it today. You have a lot of different things. Georgian cuisine, some people associate it with being very like heavy or something very like fatty or very meat-wise. Today we're actually doing completely vegetarian. And yes, Georgia also quite known for its wine as well. My friends, we're going to be doing two separate dishes today. We're going to start with some really basics. We're doing some staple food, we're doing some cheap food, and everything today is vegetarian, right? So it would be completely vegan had it not been for the mushrooms though. So I'm really excited. Are you guys excited about it? I want to hear a nice yes chef from everybody watching right now. So the first of the dishes that we're going to be doing today, my friends, is a little something called Soko Kecze. And Soko Kecze is, I believe it directly translates to mushrooms in a clay pot. These bad boys, these mushrooms, we're going to be stuffing them with a Georgian cheese called sulguni. And it's going to be super simple, it's going to be super delicious. Guys, it's mushrooms with cheese and butter and salt. That's it. We're not going to do anything like crazy or out of the ordinary in terms of spices. It's going to be simple and delicious. A lot of my inspiration for this came from the fact that on Wednesday's stream, we did the sauteed mushrooms with the spätzle, and I was like, wow, I really want to eat some mushrooms again. I love eating mushrooms, and this is such a simple dish to prepare. My friends, we just grate some sulguni cheese. If you don't have access to sulguni, you can replace it with mozzarella. I assume like even like a Oaxacan cheese, like any good melting cheese would be amazing for this. Stuff it with cheese, stuff it with butter and salt, and then we bake it, and it's going to be incredible. And so my friends, the other thing that we'll be doing today, we're going to be doing a lobio. Lobio just means beans. In this case, my friends, I have a bunch of red kidney beans that I have had soaking. You don't necessarily need to be soaking them, especially because we're doing them in a pressure cooker. And so, the Lobio itself, we're going to be cooking it with fenugreek. We're going to be cooking it with savory. Let me show you this now, actually. So this, my friends, is one of the essential Georgian spices, one of the essential Georgian seasonings. This is savory, also called summery savory. I'm not sure if there's a distinction between savory and summery savory, but this is an herb that is going to be basically in everything that we cook when we do Georgian food. Will Lobio be hot served? So yes, Turina. Lobio just means red kidney beans, so it just means beans. So typically Lobio, you could have like a cold Lobio, like which is almost like a salad, and this one is going to be a bit more like a stew. And so guys, we're going to have some sauteed onions, and the next ingredient that's really, really important, guys, is celery with the leaves on. This is like the closest, most like Americanized ingredient. I don't believe it's actually celery that would be used. I know something about like substituting with Chinese celery, but celery with the leaves, this is going to go into the Lobio. And then guys, we'll also be doing today something that I feel like is almost really evocative of Mexican cooking, even though they have nothing to do with each other. We're going to be doing today, my friends, something called an Adjika. An Adjika is typically either red or green. There's a red Adjika, there's a green Adjika. It is like a chili paste, it's like a chili sauce. It's really, really similar to that of a salsa. And so my friends, I have a bunch of serrano chilies. I have one green pepper. In this case, I'm using just like a Cubanelle, an Italian pepper. Although a green bell pepper would be fine, you know, an Anaheim chili would also be pretty amazing for this. So we're using some serranos for the heat. The Italian pepper here, the Cubanelle, just for like a good bulk of it. And now, my friends, I'm going to just quickly go on over to the fridge because I have perhaps the most important ingredients of today sitting in the fridge. We are going to have a plethora of herbs. Also, hi Gigi, welcome on in. My friends, we're going to have a bunch of parsley. We're gonna have a bunch of cilantro. Cilantro is the essential herb for all Georgian cooking. The cilantro is going to be basically half of what constitutes the Lobio itself. The cilantro is going to be half of what constitutes the Adjika. And the Adjika is also gonna have some parsley and fresh dill. So, a lot of fresh herbs, completely vegetarian today. We're going to have this delicious, like cheesy, like chewy, you know, mushroom stuffed with cheese. This really delicious, like creamy, savory, acidic, spicy stew. And then like the spicy little condiment in the form of Adjika that will cook some into the stew and then we might serve some of it with it. So we have a lot to get done. Is everybody ready for today? I want to hear a nice yes, chef, please and thank you. Also, everybody, before we begin, if you would like to do so, I really recommend checking out my Patreon if you would like to support what we do here. I would like to continue to keep these cooking streams nice and free for everybody to watch and consume because I would like to keep the information free. And so, if you have any bit of excess pocket change, any and all help there is really, really appreciated. So, my friends, we are going to be starting off by, once again, pressure cooking the beans. I think that if you were getting into the habit of making beans at home, everybody should be pressure cooking them. Well, unless you don't have a pressure cooker, then you can just use a regular pot. And there's a reason why I'm specifically suggesting this. Pressure cookers have been the best way for me to get consistently into the habit of cooking things like beans and cooking things like stocks. In my typical day, off stream, I don't necessarily always have the time to be watching over a pot for like an hour and a half or so, and then making sure like I'm stirring it and stuff and doing all of this to make sure that my beans don't squelch on the bottom and to make sure that they properly cook through. An Instant Pot, a pressure cooker, will take care of so much of the work, and so I really, really highly recommend for people to get into the habit of using one for some beans. That has been the best way for me to get into a home routine of using them. And so guys, we will be pressure cooking some of these kidney beans. So I've had them soaking. Just to leach out some of the stuff that might give you a bit of a tummy ache. I find that with black beans, I don't like soaking them. With red kidney beans, I'm soaking them. And guys, all I have is 1 pound of dried beans. I'm just dumping out all of the liquid in the sink really quickly, so please forgive me. I'll be back on camera in just a second. So I'm just dumping out all that soaking liquid. And now guys, into, you know, maybe like roughly 2 quarts of water or so, a little bit less than 2 quarts of water. My golden ratio, guys, is, wait, is it half a pound? Are these bags 1 pound or are they half a pound? 1 pound. Okay, yes, my ratio is 1 pound of black beans or 1 pound of beans to 2 quarts of water. Do I choose beans based on the texture that you want? So Duolingo, for today specifically, I'm using red kidney beans because that is what is typically used in Georgian cuisine. But I'm just, so what am I trying to say here? I pick the kinds of beans I'm using relative to the kind of cultural cuisine. If I'm sort of freestyling something, I don't think it matters too much. And with red kidney beans, this is what is just typically used in a lot of Georgian cooking. So I hope this helps. So sparklers, welcome on in. So yeah, guys, if you soaked it, you just need like 1.5 quarts of water. If you didn't soak it, 2 quarts of water to 1 pound of kidney beans. And now let's talk about how we'll actually be seasoning and flavoring up these beans. So after these beans go undergo the pressure cooking, guys, we're going to be saving that cooking liquid. Everybody, I need you all to tap in. I need you all to understand. I need you all to listen. This is super essential. I do not want you discarding this bean cooking liquid. This bean cooking liquid, once it's cooked, once the beans have been cooked, it's going to be full of the starches, it's going to be full of the proteins that will then help give the final product the viscosity that it needs. We evaporate some of the excess liquid after it has been cooked, and all that starch, all those proteins, they make this lobio into a really nice, thick, delicious stew. So we need this cooking liquid. Second thing, I want you all to get into the habit of cooking with dried beans. And there's 2 reasons why I'm saying this. First of all, canned beans are significantly more expensive than dried beans. Canned beans, I believe, might be 1.5 times as expensive for something that should be a staple product. My second problem with them is that they have a very tinned flavor. The cooking liquid that is inside of the can itself, it has some of like that, you know, the flavor that you get from like canned tomatoes or any other canned product. My third issue, you can't actually control the texture of the beans that you get in a can. Sometimes you're looking for something a little bit firmer, especially if it's for a salad. Sometimes you're looking for them to be creamier, especially if you're doing something like a hummus. Okay, so guys, it is super essential. It is super important that I think everybody should be getting into the habit of cooking with dried beans. I do not think that canned beans, you can do this with canned beans. It's not going to be the end of the world. Guys, you just have so much more control of the texture. You have a much tastier cooking liquid, and then you're also saving money. And the way that you save time is by using an Instant Pot. So can I please get a yes, chef, on that, please and thank you. Canned beans are one of the modern conveniences that I think a lot of people can definitely move away from. And the way that you actually save the time is by using an Instant Pot. So that has been my rant. That has been enough. Duolingo will pour the direct boiling liquid into our mouths. I hope this helps. So guys, we're just going to go ahead and season up the liquid. Chef, how long does it take to soak beans? I don't know, 4 hours, 5 hours, 8 hours. They just kind of swell up in texture a little bit. I want to say at least 4 to 5 hours, but also these would be fine if you didn't soak them. I've definitely made kidney beans without soaking them before. But this is, for something digestibility reasons. Okay guys, so it's also going to make the process of cooking it a little bit quicker. The next step, we are going to go ahead and get some bay leaves in here. So this is really similar to, I guess Mexican beans, right? If you guys think about it, we're making this Adjika, which is almost like a sofrito. It's almost like a salsa with like all these different chilies. The way that we're seasoning these beans, this is really similar fundamentally to a lot of Mexican cooking, which I'm really excited about. I've never actually made proper Georgian food in the past, and so that's what I want to do, guys. I want to learn, I want to become a little bit more educated on it. There was a lovely woman on YouTube, a Georgian woman, living in New York, who made some incredible cooking videos that I took some inspiration from for today. And so guys, we're just going to go ahead and get these 4 bay leaves right into the pot. Also, stupid blobfish, thank you so much for the sub. Thank you. We're going to go ahead and get these bad boys on into the pot. And guys, the next thing that we are going to need is some savory. So we're going to have savory later in the cooking process. I just oftentimes see people add it in incrementally in 2 different points. I'm not entirely sure why yet. I can't give you the best possible explanation at the moment, other than you're just going to get 2 different textures and tastes of the savory. So this is one of those essential herbs if you want to be making Georgian cooking, guys. This one I don't really have a substitution for in mind. I'm sure you can find some online. Savory, also known as summer savory. So let's just go ahead and get this packet nice and opened. Right? It smells really grassy, is the best way to put it. Grassy, and then almost like oregano. It's like, it's somehow a little grassier and less earthy than oregano, if that makes sense. Yeah, definitely like sage, but there's like a real grassiness to it. So guys, I'm just going to go ahead and do 1 spoon of this bad boy, just directly into the pot. Right, nothing crazy, just one of those little spoons. And we don't really have to worry about salting at this stage, guys. We'll just add in that salt. It is not a mix of spices, August and Ryan. This is just the savory herb itself. How does it smell, Kangavani? I have no idea, and I'm unqualified in telling you how to do so. So we're going to go ahead and get some savory inside, and then guys, let's go ahead and then I want to get like half an onion. I want to get half an onion in here, okay? And again, I just like doing this anytime that I am cooking up like a big pot of beans. Getting like half an onion inside is always just really, really nice practice because alliums are delicious. We're going to get that bean cooking liquid super, super flavorful, right? Because we'll be cooking down and reducing all of that delicious starchy bean liquid. And so guys, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to slice the head of this onion off. The rest of this onion will be used because we still need to saute and fry it, okay? And we just go ahead and cut this in half, and then half of it will go into this stage of the process. I do love throwing in an allium into like this initial cooking stage, okay? So let's go ahead and get this bad boy all peeled up because we don't need any of that onion skin. And then I'm also just going to go ahead and chop off the root. But I'm still intentionally keeping the onion as intact as possible so that we can easily fish it out. So I don't want you chopping this onion into pieces. The whole point is for him to contribute a sweetness into all of the beans. So let's go ahead and get him thrown into the pot as well. And guys, that is going to actually be it in terms of the initial seasonings for the beans. Because remember, this is a two-step cooking process. After we do the cooking of the beans, we're going to be frying up the onions, we'll add in the rest of the spices, we'll be making the Adjika. So I know this looks bland, I know it doesn't look particularly interesting in the moment, but I promise you, you must have a little bit of faith in the process. So again, I'm adding in that half an onion. You can just use an old onion, right? If you have like a sprouting onion, it's a nice way to use them up. You can use a leek. We're just trying to get that liquid nice and flavored. And so guys, we have, once again, 1 pound of red kidney beans that have been beautifully soaked. We have some onions, we have some bay leaves in there, we have 2 quarts of water, and then we'll be pressure cooking this. If you're going from unsoaked, I would do 40 minutes of high pressure. Because it's soaked, I'm thinking like maybe 15 or 18. Chef, do we put any garlic into the bean prep? Jack, we'll just be doing it later. We'll do all the garlic later on. I am kind of running a little low on garlic, so I'm not adding it into this initial boiling stage for today. So guys, I'm trying to figure out how long do I want to cook it for. Unsoaked beans, I do for 40 minutes in the pressure cooker at high pressure, and then like 5 to 10 minutes of natural pressure release. And so for these bad boys, I'm thinking maybe like 20 minutes of high pressure and then 5 minutes of pressure release. So something like that. Yeah, that should be good. 20 minutes of high pressure because of the fact that it was already soaked. So guys, I'm going to go ahead and just get this bad boy into the pressure cooker and have him ready to go for us. So just 1 second, please excuse me everybody, please be nice and patient with me throughout this process. So guys, again, today's stream might be on the slightly shorter end. So you'll just have to forgive me for that because we're just trying something new and I don't like taking on too many things if we're, you know. Oh, what happened with my pressure cooker? There you go. And 20 minutes of high pressure. Okay guys, we're back. I'm so sorry about that. We are back. 20 minutes of high pressure for my soaked pound of red kidney beans. They're in the pressure cooker with a teaspoon of that summer savory inside along with some bay leaves and some onions. So we're going to get something really, really aromatic and really herbaceous. Georgian cooking is quite famous or infamous for the sheer amount of different greens and vegetables and herbs that are used. It's an incredibly herb-forward cuisine. So I feel like a lot of people, especially with restaurant Georgian cooking, they associate it with being really meaty and really fatty. But traditionally, meat was purely celebratory, and thus Georgian cooking naturally evolved to be a lot more vegetarian, to be a lot more vegetable based. And thus, I wanted to start with the Lobio today. I wanted to do this red kidney bean stew because I just feel like it's going to be one of the staples. This is so similar to Mexican cooking in some ways that it's almost, it's a little uncanny, just like how many like similarly evolved ideas have come up. So guys, now we have to do a couple of other things. We need to get the process for the Adjika going. And so again, the Adjika, right, spelled A-D-J-I-K-A, is a chili herb paste. It's so similar to a salsa. And so typically, it's either red or green. The red ones, they typically have a bit of tomato in it. The green ones are just green herbs and chilies. It's really nice and spicy. You cook with it. You sometimes just eat it in and of itself as a condiment. This is one of those essential condiments of Georgian cooking. You can buy pre-canned, pre-bottled, or like dried Adjika, but in my case, I would actually prefer to make it myself. And so, Is everybody paying attention? I want to hear a nice resounding yes, chef, please and thank you. Everything is going to begin with a bunch of fresh, beautiful herbs, my friends. So let's go ahead and get that going. And of course, guys, we have a pot of water coming to a boil. And this is actually going to be my change to the recipe. You're going to see exactly why. So, again, guys, this is a very, very fresh, right? Very, very easy, almost like a little paste that we're going to get. If I had a food processor would be the ideal tool for the job here. I should probably add one onto my wish list. I have one that I really want in mind. So instead, we'll just be pulsing it in the blender to get it really nice and chunky today. Okay, guys, so the most important herb in all of Georgian cuisine, where is it? Is it here? There it is. Oh, no, that's the dill. Not quite that one. The most important herb, guys, in all of Georgian cuisine is, I would say, this guy right here. We have the humble cilantro. And again, you are once again like seeing like these overlaps with Mexican cooking. We have a lot of really, really similar ingredients. And so, my friends, this cilantro, we're going to be using half of it for the Lobio itself and then half of it for the Adjika today. Chef, what's the most important herb in all of the world? Probably cilantro. I don't think like cilantro is used independently by so many different cuisines. It might just actually be cilantro. Like important as in like how many of it, like how many different cuisines is this the core of? I would argue maybe cilantro. It's used in Chinese cooking, it's used in Middle Eastern cooking, it's used in Mexican cooking, it's used in European cooking. I wouldn't really consider scallions an herb as much. And so guys, we're going to need half of this stuff for the Lobio and then half of it for the Adjika. So let's just go ahead and start just getting this stuff a little bit processed. And so here's what we're going to do. We just need to go ahead and coarsely chop up half of it for the Adjika because we're going to be blanching it. We're going to be blanching it and then we'll be putting it through, you know, ideally if you have a food processor, you'd use a food processor. I'll be pulsing it in my blender. Chef, did I buy Georgian bread to eat with the mushrooms? I did not buy any Georgian bread for today, tragically. That I did not do. So, my friends, we are going to be doing not my method. People have been doing this for a long time, but we're going to be blanching the herbs. Now, this is not something that I've seen other people do, but the reason that we do this is because whenever you start crushing the cells of fresh herbs like this, they turn brown, they oxidize, and they end up losing their flavor. By dunking them into boiling water really quickly, we go ahead and we neutralize the enzymes, we, denature them. I don't know, some explanation like that, but the point is, they don't turn brown, they retain their color a lot better, okay? And that way they'll stay nice and fresh. Because of the fact that the Adjika is almost like a salsa, right? Because of the fact that it's just going to be really like blended in. If we do not blanch these herbs, it's not actually going to be particularly fridge stable. And so, this is my own addition, this is my own change that I'm doing to this kind of a dish because I think it's a little bit more optimal. So, my first time making it, I don't typically like to make a lot of modifications to traditional dishes and traditional techniques, but this is one that I already feel confident that is a change I want to make. So guys, once again, we're going to need half of this, right? Half of this bundle for the Lobio itself, and the other half is going to be for the Adjika. And because of the fact that we'll be blanching it, I will indeed be keeping its skin on this time. So I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of the rest of the cilantro. Okay, and then guys, all that I'm going to do, actually, I don't think I even need to chop this at all, because the blender, we'll just give this the lightest, like cut in half, just like this. Right, just a little cut in half, and then we're going to go ahead and get that over to the side. Also, Solifera, you're saying basil is the most important herb? I feel like, I don't know who's really using basil besides Italians and like Thai cooking, right? Thai and Vietnamese cooking. Even then, it's a different kind of basil. So, I don't know, but I feel like cilantro is used universally. So guys, I have here now some parsley. This is my old parsley that I've been meaning to get rid of. And then we're also going to do a little bit of my new batch as well. So the competition is definitely between basil and cilantro, right? It is objectively between basil and cilantro. Okay guys, so we're going to do that amount of parsley, and then we roughly want, so you see like the size of this bundle of cilantro, we're roughly going to want half of that in terms of parsley. So the majority is going to be the cilantro base, and then it's going to be 2 parts cilantro, 1 part parsley, 1 part dill. Okay, so let's just go ahead and get that down. Let's get that out of here, and now 2 parts cilantro, 1 part parsley, and my friends, 1 part beautiful lovely dill. And so this is going to be the base. This is going to be the flavor of our Adjika today, my friends. We're going to be doing it entirely from scratch. We're going to be blanching the herbs. We're going to be blending them down so that they stay nice and stable. Guys, I'm really, really excited about this. Are you guys excited about this? I want to hear a nice yes, chef, if you are. And I do expect all of you to be. And if you're not, well, I'll have a bunch of things to say to you, I suppose. So I'm just going to go ahead and get my old Tupperware over here, and I'm just going to fill this bad boy up with all of these different herbs. The parsley doesn't even need a trim or anything. Lovely. And the dill, I'm just going to cut in half once, and I'm just going to get rid of like some of the biggest stems. But again, it's not a big deal, guys, because it's all going to go into today's lovely Adjika. Okie dokie. So, as always, guys, when we're blanching something, we always need to be preparing simultaneously the humble ice bath. So, why are we doing this? Well, we need something super, super cold so that whenever the herbs come out, I want you to consider the texture of these really quickly, guys. It's almost like a mop. If we put this into the boiling water, what's going to happen is it's going to hold on to so much of that boiling water, and then it's just going to continue to sit there and overcook. And so we need a nice cold ice bath to be able to plunge those herbs into, just to go ahead and keep them nice and cool and stop them from overcooking. Guys, the entire process of making the blanched herbs is only 15 seconds. Boiling water, herbs, ice bath. 10 to 15 seconds of boiling maximum. Can I please get a yes, chef? I need to make sure that all of you understand this. If you overcook them in the water, you're going to get a bunch of overcooked herbs. You get a bunch of overcooked herbs, they would have leached out and lost all of that flavor. We do sacrifice a little bit of flavor no matter what in the process of blanching the herbs themselves. Right? It is inevitable that you'll lose some flavor, but the goal of blanching them is to make them a little bit more shelf stable. So, I'm going to go ahead and fill this bowl up with some nice cold water. And everybody, you guys know how it's done. We've done blanched herbs so many different times already. So you already know how we got to get the station set up and ready to go. As always, everybody, we have a spider. And this is one of the most essential tools that I think anybody at home would benefit from. I use my spider for pasta. I use it for blanching things like spinach, or in this case, my nice fresh herbs. If you were to use something like tongs to go ahead and scoop out all of the herbs, you'll end up overcooking some of them because you're not going to get all of them out in one fell swoop. So I really recommend either getting like a strainer on a stick or a spider. So a spider ready to go, boiling water happening, and now we're going to just go ahead and get a little timer on the ready. Just gonna get my stopwatch going. Okay, dokie, guys, and we're just going to do this in a couple of batches. And so this process is only going to take maybe 10 to 15 seconds maximum once we get them into the boiling water. So that's already inside. 10 seconds, that's all that this is going to need. We agitate them, we just make sure that we're moving them around a little bit. We're doing this for another 2 seconds, guys. And now we pull them out in one big fell swoop into the ice bath. One big fell swoop into the ice bath. And make sure that you're poking it, because again, it's like a brush, it's like a mop. It's holding in all of that boiling water, and so you have to replace it with the cool water. So agitate it, push it around a little bit, show it who is boss. Do you all understand? And so I love these ice blocks because it's really, really easy to separate them from like the finished herb. So guys, let's go ahead and get this water back on up to a nice aggressive boil. Okay, and does anybody have any questions about this process so far? I'm going to go ahead and tie my hair up. If you have any cooking questions whatsoever, please remember, please do not forget that I am here to teach you. That's you. I'm here to teach you how to cook at home. Okay, so guys, we're going to go ahead and now get the next batch of fresh herbs inside, right? And again, we're doing this in just 2 little batches like this so we have good control over everything. Oop, I dropped some of it. Okay? And let's take it all, and once again, all into the pot. 10 to 15 seconds at absolute most, everybody. Get it all inside, push it around, agitate it, move it, move it, move it. Okay? And out all of it goes. Out it all goes. Into my ice bath, out all of it goes, and into my ice bath, and agitate it, my friends. Move it around, agitate it, and that is it. That is the entire process of blanching the herbs. That's it, we got it done. Let's go ahead and get rid of this container now, because we have no more use for it, guys. And now we're just going to let those lovely herbs that we've just blanched cool down properly. Does anybody have any cooking questions for me in the moment? What is happening in the chat? You guys are dancing. Okay. And let me just go ahead and wipe this off really quickly. Lovely, beautiful, and Dunsky. So let me go ahead and show off my fresh herbs. So guys, this is a technique that, excuse me. This is a technique that I've started doing for any time where I need to blend my herbs. Anytime I need to blend them. So think about like a pesto. Think about like a creamy salsa. Think about something like a salad dressing. Or at least think about something processed, right? Like the Adjika itself. I love doing the process of blanching the herbs because, of course, that way it's a lot more stable in the fridge itself. Once you cut herbs, once you start crushing them, the more that you process them, okay, the more of the cells that you're actually crushing, the more of the chlorophyll that you're leaching out of it, and the higher of a risk that you actually have for them to turn brown. Okay, especially as it sits in the fridge. And so, we lose a little bit of flavor in the boiling water, but what we get is a lot more flavorful, beautiful herbs down the line. Okay, so we still have their freshness, we still have all of their flavor, and we're going to get back to these bad boys in just a little bit, because we have no more use for them in the moment. Okay. I am going to go ahead and just wipe off my knife really nice and quick because it was cutting some herbs. So just rinse that off, get all the herbs off of it, and then I gotta dry it off because it is a carbon steel knife after all. Does anybody have any questions for me in a moment? We currently have the red kidney beans going in the pressure cooker. We finished blanching the herbs. And now, my friends, let's go ahead and get everything together for the Adjika. I'm going to go ahead and just dry this off thoroughly. Make sure that my knife, again, because it is a carbon steel knife. How do I pick a good kitchen towel, Daramgar? So Daramgar, you're typically looking for only like natural fibers. You don't want any polyester inside of it. You only want things like cotton. And the reason for that is because a kitchen towel is meant to be food safe. It's meant to be, if you get like little fibers of it in your food, it's like fine, like little teeny tiny microscopic fibers. And you don't want something like polyester when you're handling something hot. So like a good natural fiber only. Otherwise, I haven't bought kitchen towels in a very long time. Also, August and Ryan, I don't struggle with my wooden spoons at all. I throw them into the dishwasher. I just never soak them. 6 flour sack towels. Serena, I have no idea what you're trying to say here. I don't know if that was a bit, and it just went over my head completely. Okie dokie. I am going to go ahead and get started with all of our lovely chilies. So for today, guys, for my batch of Adjika, I'm using some serrano chilies. We're looking for something really, really nice and spicy. Yeah, the kitchen towel shouldn't be edible, but it should be like if you get like a tiny fiber of it in something, you'll be okay. So guys, I have a bunch of serrano chilies here. The serranos, again, not particularly the traditional chili that would be used in Georgian cooking, but it is what we have available here. So just go and buy whatever spicy green chili is available. For you, if it's just a jalapeno, then go for it. If it's a serrano, then go for it. If it's like a spicy, like thin green chili, like the kinds that are used in Indian cooking all the time, that would also be pretty excellent. And guys, we're intentionally going to be keeping all of the seeds inside of this chili. Okay, yes, we will be using gloves today, Daramgar. We will be using gloves once we start cutting them. So what spice level are we talking about? Jack, it's entirely up to you. If you would like, you can have a completely bland Adjika without using any spicy chilies at all, and just use things like these. These are Cubanelles, you can use Anaheims. You know, really, it is entirely and utterly up to you. I am going to go ahead and get some gloves on because we will be handling something spicy, of course. And as you guys know, I never handle something spicy without gloves. Hi, Freddie. What spice level am I making? I'm keeping all the seeds in these serranos. So, considerably spicy, actually. It's going to be significantly spicy. Yeah. It's, trust me, that will not be an issue for today. So guys, all that we're going to do is we're just going to be slicing off each of the heads of my serranos. Okay, because we have no use for the dried ends after all. Do the chili flakes go in the end of cooking? Whoa, Daramgar, are you asking about lagana? I'm not entirely sure what you're asking me. You have a very good joke. Well, we'll see. Okay, guys. So we have these serranos, and now because I will be pulsing them in my blender, ideally I would have a food processor. Hint, hint, if somebody wants to give me like, I don't know, $350. I'm just going to go ahead and just chunk up my serrano into something a little bit smaller that my tool will be able to handle. Okay, so serranos, all the seeds inside. If you don't want that much heat, you can go ahead and take the seeds out, or you can just use at that point a blander chili. You can use a jalapeno. You can just use more green bell peppers. You can do whatever you want with this, guys. So going through all of these different serranos, just again cutting them up into little pieces. Okay, Jack, Moderator, can we delete that message, please? Jack, that was weird, dude. Don't do that. Let's go ahead and get all these chilies processed. Every single last one of them. Beautiful. And now, guys, we're going to be doing a similar treatment to my Cubanelle here. And the entire reason this is here is for a little bit of additional flavor, so it's not just spice. Guys, let's just move on. Chat, let's move on. Let's just ignore it, please. All that we're going to do, guys, is we're going to start by... So this is interesting. This is a bit of a longer pepper. All of the seeds. Jack, it's fine. You can just stay. Let's not make this into a big deal, okay? So all the seeds are typically centralized at the top here. And so we can do the shaving method. And so this is an Italian hot pepper, also sold as a Cubanelle. I believe those two terms are interchangeable. Because of the fact that it's so long, this shaving method will be a little bit inefficient. And so with this guy instead, I think I'd prefer to first just start by cutting him in half. Okay, so that we're exposing the inside of it. And now, all that we're going to do is, now that we've cut it in half and we got this part nice and stable, my friends, now we can shave it and leave all of that white part, all of those seeds on the inside. For this one, we have no use to have the seeds. This isn't a green bell pepper, this is just a Cubanelle. Okay, so I'm just shaving them off. And again, I'm keeping all of the seeds on this one inside, because again, this one, the seeds don't contribute anything, right? And I'm just going to go ahead and get this in slightly smaller chunks. Once again, just so that our processing tool can do a good job of handling it all. And yes, pseudo-natural. So this is a Cubanelle. This is a hot Italian pepper, right? That is what banana peppers are made of. Banana peppers, I believe, refer to the pickled variety only, right? Okay, guys, and now we're going to do the same thing with this. So we're just going to go ahead and stack this bad boy up, and we're just shaving down the sides to keep all of that white part inside, because we do not want any of the white stuff. We just want the green of the actual pepper itself. And let's discard that. And once again, guys, we're just chunking it up. But yeah, I believe banana peppers are just pickled Italian peppers. Can somebody fact check me on this, please? A Google search, if you will. Okay, again, just small enough. It doesn't have to be perfect, just something for my blender to be able to successfully handle. Okie dokie. There you go, my friends. So, once again, a bunch of Serrano chilies, one hot Italian pepper, and now I'm just going to go ahead and scoop all this stuff off of my cutting board. Right, because we do not need it. We don't need these seeds. We don't need all these little scraps, guys. So let's go ahead and move on with the rest of the prep. So I have here a bunch of celery. This is going to be an ingredient that you see over and over in Georgian cooking. You will see this all over the place. Specifically, you will see celery leaves be mentioned. And I'm not entirely sure if that's because there's another vegetable that's similar to a celery that's used in Georgia. I know that the best substitute is a Chinese celery, but we're really looking for a lot of the celery leaves. Okay, because the celery leaves are the most herbaceous part. The celery is almost treated as an herb in Georgian cooking. And now that I'm thinking about it, I probably could have blanched the... Wait, those are my chili gloves. I'm not touching my face with that. And so, we're going to need half of this for the beans itself, and then half of it for our proper Adjika. So, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this, and all of this stuff is going to be for the Adjika, my friends. Does anybody have any cooking questions for me at the moment? And so, again, guys, same exact idea. All I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this and cut this up into slightly smaller pieces, just something that my blender will be able to properly handle. Okay? And let's get all of these celery leaves nicely cut up as well. And I just had these soaking. There we go. Dual wielding the stream and chef in Discord, you feel like Anthony Bourdain. Well, you know, funnily enough that you bring up Anthony Bourdain, it was his Georgian episode that inspired me to do this today, because I saw it on Thursday or on Wednesday, and I was like, wow, I haven't had Georgian food in a while. Why don't I try to make some Georgian food on stream? And thus, there we go. And then also, I had a lovely conversation with Trash Can Cat Mom, and I was like, okay, yeah, that's it. We're doing some Georgian food. So guys, guess what? We have a bunch of celery here. And again, I'm not measuring anything today, because that's not what it means to cook at home. We're not using measuring spoons for anything. We're just going to be eyeballing it. We will be going purely by the vibe here. All right. So, my friends, we have a bunch of this fresh celery with the leaves and all. It's just going to go right onto this plate. And now we have to go on and continue prepping. So what are the other things that we're going to need for this Adjika? We're going to need some garlic, because guys, you cannot make this kind of food without a bunch of garlic. And it's going to be raw garlic. So this Adjika, this paste, guys, it's going to be flavorful, it's going to be spicy, it's going to be pungent. You can either cook with it, or you can use just a little bit of it as a condiment. And so we're going to need, I want to say, 3 to 4 large raw garlic cloves. just roughly. And I'm wondering if I don't typically like blending garlic because it kind of gets stuck on the bottom. So I think I'm going to be separately processing it with a garlic press. Okay, so 4 garlic cloves, my friends, and it's going to be really, really pungent because we're putting it through a garlic press. The thing that you need to remember with garlic is the finer that you cut it, the more that you crush it, the more allicin you end up producing. And that, well, I just touched the cutting board, it's over. That allicin is what gives garlic its pungency. So if you were just to coarsely chop it up, it wouldn't be as pungent as if you were to put it through a garlic press. And so, guys, let's go ahead and get all of that done now. I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of this knife really quickly. Does anybody have any questions for me in the moment? Let's go ahead and just give each of these bad boys a little smash, a little tap. Okay, and we're doing this because this separates the skin from the rest of the clove of garlic. Okay, each and every single one of these. Beautiful. There you go. In fact, I'm actually going to get the rest of the garlic out because we're still going to need it for the lobio anyways. So let's go ahead and get that out. And you guys, you can't ever really have too much garlic. So I'm just going to be using the rest of this head here today. Okay, so I'm just going to break them all up into the individual cloves. There you go. Lovely. Okay, every single one of these. Let's go ahead and get them done. Let's get them processed. Give them a little squish. Let's move it and let's give it a little squish. And let's move it and let's give it a little squish, guys. And we're doing this again. We're doing this with a bench scraper, not with a knife. I don't like doing that with a knife because you have less surface area and it's a lot easier to cut yourself accidentally. Okay? And so, guys, let's just go ahead and get all of these over to the side. And now we will just simply, one by one, procedurally, peel off every single one of these garlic cloves now that they have been properly and thoroughly smashed. That's 1, and that's 2. There you go. Just like that. Nice and easy. And guys, Georgian cooking, Middle Eastern cooking, Eastern European cooking, all of them have so much garlic, right? And so you definitely see that reflected in a lot of Georgian cooking, an aggressive amount of garlic. It is really fascinating comparing the way that garlic is treated and thought about the further that you go east versus west. The further you go west, especially with Italian cooking and French cooking, you'll see like maybe half a clove of garlic in a dish, or the way that Italians cook with it, they put like a little bit in oil and then they take it out because they're terrified of the garlic. But then the further east you go, especially into Eastern Europe, you have people, especially eating like a bowl of borscht, taking a bite out of a raw clove of garlic, or especially like into like Chinese cooking, like how much garlic is actually used, right? And so I think it's really, really fascinating how and I'm talking about like Europe into Asia, I'm talking about in Eurasia, the further west you go, the more people are kind of afraid of garlic. Something to do with white people, probably. Oh, August and Ryan, I'm glad that the garbage bowl advice was really good. Guys, always have a garbage bowl on your table because the last thing that you want to be doing is you don't want to go to your trash can whenever you're cutting something on the cutting board. It's super inconvenient. Just get a garbage bowl ready to go, just like this, okay? And so that's just where all of my scraps go, right? And so you can also have like a separate scraps bowl of like things that you keep for stock. Let's say like certain trimmings and peelings and whatnot, but I don't do that. That would be going a step further. And honestly, guys, what do you think? Do you think that would be something good for me to integrate if I kept like a specific scrap bowl and I started freezing things for the vegetable stock? Do you think that would be good for us? I think we'll start by saving the mushroom stems today. We'll save and freeze the mushroom stems and use them for the mushroom stock in the future. How's that sound? Okay, guys, I'm just getting rid of every single last one of these little garlic skins. I know it takes a little bit of time. I do apologize for that. Yeah, you're from Scandinavia and your grandparents have virtually never eaten garlic? Interesting. I wouldn't think that with Scandinavian cooking, though. I felt like that would be a little bit more garlic forward. But regardless. Yes, I don't know. It's just like, it's like a very fascinating cultural phenomenon, right? Which is the further east you go, the more garlic is kind of consumed in higher doses. Okie dokie. And so, guys, we're just going to go ahead and go with each of these garlic cloves and trim off the dried off butt. Right, this is where the garlic was growing out of. It's a little dry. It's not going to go through the garlic press all that well. Just trim, just trim, just trim every single one of them up until we have all of our lovely little garlic cloves ready to go. So we're going to get 2 condiment cups for today. Half of this is going to go towards, of course, my friends, the lovely Adjika. And then we're going to go the other half into the Lobio. So let's go ahead and get my handy dandy garlic press. Guys, if you do not own a garlic press, I highly recommend investing in one. It'll make your life so much easier because I cannot stand processing garlic by hand. So these are 2 tiny ones. There you go, just directly inside. Just directly inside. In fact, guys, I'm thinking we might need more garlic than this because this isn't all that much. There you go, that's half. And then let's go ahead and do the other half. Okay, and we're just going directly inside. And this will be for the Adjika. Oh, actually, no, this will be for the Lobio. The Adjika will be the other one. I think we have enough garlic, actually. It's going to be pungent, guys. It's going to be intense. I don't think this is anything to really worry about. Okay, and we have one last garlic clove. Let's not forget about her. Let's pop her inside and give her a nice big press, guys. Everybody should own a garlic press. If you don't own a garlic press, what are you doing? Chat, how many people here own garlic presses? I want to hear a nice yes chef from everybody, please and thank you. Everybody that owns a garlic press, I need a yes chef from you. In fact, I'm actually curious, how many people bought a garlic press because of the stream? I want to know if I've had any influence on your lives. Okay, guys, that's the garlic, there you go. And now I'm just going to go ahead and rinse this bad boy out, poke it with a little brush, just to make sure that nothing is stuck on the inside. Okay, lovely, and ready to go. And I'm just going to go ahead and throw this bad boy into the dishwasher while I have a second of time. And guys, we're just getting all of the prep for the Adjika done out of the way. I know this is a lot of prep work. Is a press that much different than chopping? Well, I think it's a lot faster, it's a lot more efficient, and then you're able to get the full maximum flavor. I just find that chopping garlic, it gets so sticky and so uncomfortable. So guys, this is going to be for the Adjika, and this is going to be for the Lobio. And now I'm just going to go ahead and clean up my station. Right, we're just using the bench scraper. If you don't own a bench scraper, then you should go ahead and get one, guys. Okay, this bad boy right here, always just cleaning down a station. This is an essential for every level of home cook. I think somebody benefits from having a bench scraper. Okie dokie. So now we have to do a couple of other things, guys, for the Adjika. We need to go ahead and get some spices ready. Specifically, we need some coriander seeds, and the coriander seeds will also be used for the Lobio. So coriander seeds, another really, really common Georgian spice, right? Because cilantro is used and thus coriander seeds are used. So guys, I have here my mortar and pestle ready to go, and I am going to get a bunch of these bad boys inside. And so, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to make a bunch of freshly ground coriander, guys. Because remember, whole spices, they have so much more flavor than ground spices. So let's talk about this really quickly. Why am I using coriander seeds and not just ground coriander? And let me explain to you why. Guys, when you have a spice that's already been ground, that is something that I like to call destructive prep. In cooking, you have destructive prep, and then you also have non-destructive prep. Destructive prep is the more that you process something, the more that you expose the insides of something. And the reason why I call it destructive is because it starts to lose its quality a lot faster. When you have ground spices, it loses its flavor when in contact with A, oxygen. There will always be oxygen in the container, and B, light, especially if it's not inside of a tinted container. A whole spice is able to retain much more of its flavor than a pre-ground one. Do you understand? Can I please get a yes, chef, on that? And so, all that I'm going to do, guys, is I'm just going to go through. I'm going to first give them a little squash. And so, I wouldn't put... So, Serena, you ask me, is ground coriander only good on the day of? And the answer is this. The longer that you wait, the less flavor that it has. It is best on the first day. I'm sure the difference between the first day and the second day is fairly negligible, actually. So it's not like that black and white that it's like unusable after the first day. It's just that it slowly loses flavor over time after it has been ground. And so guys, we just crush the seeds first, just to make sure that they grind up really nice and easy. But yeah, it's like if you use ground coriander, you're just going to need more of it, okay? And so, I'm going to go through all of this and just spin it around now. It's flying out of the container a little bit, and that's okay. That's because I didn't crush everything. We do need to crush all of this coriander. Lovely. And now, guys, we're just going to go ahead, go around the molding pestle, and grind this all up into a lovely, beautiful, fine powder. There you go. Yeah, get a good process in there. Get a good grind, my friends. Get it all nicely and beautifully ground up. What spice do I use that is pre-ground? Paprika. Paprika and turmeric are the two. And that's because I can't really get fresh turmeric in my area. And paprika is, the whole point of it is that it's dried. So there is no like non-ground paprika, right? Aside from like a basic red chili. But sometimes you just want the color from paprika. So I would say paprika and cayenne pepper. Does salt count as a spice? Not really, Dolingo. Salt is a lot different. The coarseness and the texture of salt is really important in cooking. I only cook with kosher salt. And that's because it's coarse enough that I can pinch it, right? But I don't use things like pink Himalayan salt. I don't use any of that stuff. But I wouldn't say it counts as a spice. Okay, guys. I'm going to now go ahead, nice and aggressively, we're going to get a beautiful, lovely little powder. Is everybody enjoying the show so far? Is everybody tapped in? I want to hear a nice yes, chef, especially if you're new. If anybody's just now tuning in, welcome. We're doing some Georgian food today. It's going to be lovely. And now, guys, the coriander is getting nice and aromatic. You can smell it. You can smell it as it is being actively ground. Man, I should get a spice grinder. That would be excellent. If I had a dedicated spice grinder, that would be pretty awesome. All right, well, I'll keep it in mind. And we're just going through all of it, and we're getting it done. We're getting it done, guys. We're getting it done. Yeah, like an electric one. All right, that's something I have in mind, but it's just for the future. Okay, and we need to get all of it nicely and beautifully processed, my friends. So you see at the moment, you see how like it still looks like it's in big leaves? We're going to need to get it a little bit finer. How are my forearms? So guys, I've started carrying a briefcase with me to work. Because I wanted to be like that guy with a briefcase, and so my forearms as of late have gotten a lot stronger, and thus, molcajetes and mortar and pestles, they're well within my wheelhouse now. Did I turn my other air conditioner off? Is that why there's no cool air coming in? I did forget to turn it off. Oh, that's why. I was so confused. Okay, guys, I'm so sorry. I'm back. We have central cooling, and so if we have a heater on, because my other room has a heater. Okay, we're back. I apologize for that. Let me just get that going again. Let me get that fixed. Because with all these different like studio lights, we need a lot of air conditioning. Oh, there's a manual one? I didn't know there was a manual spice grinder. That sounds fun. Okay, guys. Getting all of this going, getting all of this nicely and beautifully processed. Keep going, keep going, keep going. What's that song again? What was that like Osu song? Ba 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 ba. Keep going, right? Wait, can I just play that right now for us? Oh, and Diggs, we're talking about Georgia the country. I think I can just play that for us right now. Hold on. Guys, can we do Nightcore? Is that cool? I've never done this before on stream. Rockefeller Street Nightcore. That's right. We gotta do this song. This is a really stupid bit. This is a really dumb bit. I'm going very far for this bit. I've never messed with the format before. I'm only doing this for the part where they say keep going. Oh no, this might be too dumb of a bit actually. And my pressure cooker is done too. My pressure cooker is not having any of this. This bit's going too far. I'm now suddenly embarrassed playing Nightcore on a cooking show. I might be the first one to ever do that. What am I doing? This was a bad idea. This is a serious show. Whatever. They're gonna get to it. The bit will be finished. They're gonna get to the chorus. Wait, it's not even this part. You know what, guys? It's over. It's over. It's just not happening. I'm not playing Nightcore on the stream again. It's just not happening. We're back to the Pokemon Lo-Fi. We're fine. We're normal. No. That was too much. I have too many like normal people here for that to be the case. Okay? Guys, almost done with all of my lovely coriander. All my coriander seeds. No, please don't unsubscribe. Nobody leave. I'm begging you. I need it. Okay? And I think, Yeah, I just went through like so many different like stages of shame and grief. That was just like not okay. Nothing that happened just now was okay. Okay, so my friends, we have all of our coriander seed ready to go now. Let's pretend like none of this ever happened. That was a little too cringe even for me. And now let's go ahead and get all of my lovely coriander powder into this little bowl, guys. And then we'll cut it in half. So all of that inside. And then once again, half of that is going to be used towards the lobio, and then half of this is going to be used towards the adjika. So let's go ahead and get them nicely separated, roughly in half. It doesn't have to be too perfect. Okay, beautiful. Okie dokie, guys. So one second, just have to check my phone really quickly for something. Okie dokie. So, guys, we're going to need a couple of other spices to go inside. So, here is the next essential ingredient. My friends, fenugreek. So traditionally, in Georgian cooking, you wouldn't use plain fenugreek, you would use something called blue fenugreek. I do not have access to blue fenugreek, and so instead I'll just be using plain old fenugreek. And so I'll also just be going in with about, roughly a teaspoon or so. So I'm going to move these two away. So roughly a teaspoon. We're just going to add in a little bit of fenugreek. We're going to add in some savory. Don't lingo. I'm not going to add in blue food coloring. Thank you very much. That will not be happening. So guys, I'm just going to do, again, roughly, maybe 1 teaspoon of fenugreek directly inside. Fenugreek, you taste this all over Georgian cooking. Blue fenugreek, you see it in soups, you see it in stews. I love fenugreek to death. It is so aromatic, it is so delicious, it has so much oomph that it really provides, and it really, really just adds to a dish. It makes it so special, it makes it so wonderful. And last but not least, guys, once again, it would not be Georgian cooking without the savory. And so, this is really exciting for me. These are not herbs or spices that I get to actually use particularly often. Okay, I'm also going to set like 10 minutes for the natural pressure release of the beans, but I'm really, really excited to have a chance to work with savory. In fact, I just want to taste some by itself because I've never really tasted it on its own. It's like a grass to oregano, exactly as described. And so guys, I'm also going to do roughly 1 little spoon of this bad boy inside. Lovely. Okay guys, so let's go ahead and talk about everything that we have here for the adjika. Jack, I'm not entirely sure what you asked. I don't know what's entirely going on in chat at the moment. So everybody, let's do a little recap session. We are about to get our adjika blended. Adjika is an essential Georgian staple condiment. Adjika is made up of, so in this case, a green adjika, right? Because there's a red adjika and a green one. Also Canadian panda, welcome on in. So my friends, we have here a bunch of celery. Celery is used all the time in Georgian cooking, especially the celery leaves. We have here a bunch of chopped up serrano chilies. We have here a mixture of fenugreek. We have a mixture of savory. And then we also have some freshly ground coriander seed. And now guys, we also have some garlic. And then, after all of that, we have these lovely, incredible blanched herbs. And the reason why we blanch these, the reason why that we went through the process of boiling them and shocking them in water is because all of this is going to get blended down. And so, in order to keep the herbs nice and fresh, even as it gets blended, by having them blanched first, they're not going to turn brown and oxidize. So my friends, the last thing that we really have to do for them is just, we're going to strain all of this stuff out. Right, and then I have like a little strainer set up right here. This is where I was straining off the beans, so I'm gonna rinse it off really quickly. Does anybody have any cooking questions for me in the moment? Because guess what? I am here to help you. I'm here to teach you how to cook, my friends. No chef? Okay. Well, if anybody does, that's what I'm here for, okay? Does the cold hurt the herbs? The cold, it depends. A blanched herb, the cold does not hurt. Otherwise, it actually quite does, yeah. Too cold temperatures, you can absolutely freeze your herbs over them. Have them lose some flavor that way. Okay, guys. And I'm just going to fish out the rest of it. Get all of it inside. There you go. In fact, wait, what am I doing? I think I'm being really silly about this. I'm just going to get the ice cubes out. And then I'm just going to strain all of it out like the normal way. I don't know why I made this process so intensely difficult for no reason. There you go. All of my herbs that have now been properly drained. And guys, we're just going to go ahead and give them a little squish. We're going to give them a little squish just so that we can get all of the excess liquid out of them, because we don't actually need all of the liquid that's in here. It's going to make our adjika a little too watery. Okay, so I'm going to glove on up, my friends. Boop. There you go. And now I'm just going to take it in a gentle squish, guys. I don't want you to squish it so hard that the water turns green. I just want you to gently, gently, gently press out all of that excess liquid from your blanched herbs. And guys, once again, this was the combination of cilantro, parsley, and dill. These are essential for a green adjika. The most essential of which, guys, is the cilantro. The cilantro is used all the time in Georgian cooking, okay? All the time. So, getting rid of all that excess liquid now. Beautiful. And I'm going to go ahead and just set this aside, set this all behind me. And guys, it is time for us to begin the blending, the processing of the adjika. Here is the final ingredients. Once again, we have savory, we have fenugreek, we have also some coriander seed, we have some garlic, we have the fresh dill, we have the fresh parsley, we have the fresh cilantro, we have all of this celery, right, with the leaves attached. We have the cubanelle, right, the Italian pepper, and then we also have the whatchamacallit, the serrano chilies. Death coil, I did consider using the molcajete. I chose not to do it because I'm looking for a much finer consistency. I thought a molcajete would be a little bit too much effort. I think a food processor is the ideal tool of choice. And guys, if you don't have a food processor, a knife and a lot of work and a lot of time will be your best friend. So, I'm going to go ahead and get my blender station set up and ready to go, just to make sure that that is available for us. And then we're going to be just doing this in batches in order to get this process. And so I'm trying to think, what do I do first? Do I do the herbs and the garlic first? I think we should do the herbs and the garlic first together. And again, because of the fact that we blanched it, guys, these herbs are so much more stable. They will hold up. You can't over blend these anymore. Okay? And so I'm going to go ahead and get a blender cup ready to go. Where is my blender blade? It seems to be right here. Excellent. Okay, guys, and once again, my blender station is all ready to go and waiting for us. And so all that I'm going to do, I'm just going to throw in my herbs, and I'm going to throw in my garlic. And I think this might be a little too empty for the blender at this stage. So we're going to need a nice big hit of salt, and the salt is going to do a really nice job of helping stuff to break down inside almost. So nice big hit of salt, guys. Just directly inside. And then, you know what? Let's start with maybe half of the vegetables, right? So let's get some of the cubanelles. Let's get some of the serranos inside. And then some of the celery. And then don't worry about the spices and stuff, guys. We're just going to do this in 2 batches just to make sure that my blender can properly pulse everything. The goal, everybody, I need you all to tap in. The goal is to not obtain a smoothie. You're looking for a very chunky salsa texture almost. Can I please get a yes, chef? So I have my blender ready to go. Again, ideally, a food processor is your best friend in something like this. I do not own one, and so this is my best bet. We're going to take it. Oh, and I did not plug it in. That is on me. Take it and pulse, 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 pulse. Just like this, everybody. And then every now and then, we're going to take it and give it a nice big shake. Shake, 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 shake. Okay? And then we're going to go back inside and pulse it again. Pulse, pulse. Oh, that wasn't that much of a pulse, but that's okay. And big shake, and all the way to the bottom again, right? And give it once again, guys. Pulse, pulse, pulse. Beautiful. And so, guys, this is the start of a beautiful, beautiful adjika. Okay? I think this should be fine enough for us at the moment. Ooh. I just smelled that, and that just immediately hit my nose. Guys, that is so, that is the chilies, that is the serrano, that already has so much aroma inside of it. Also, that is a sign telling me it's time to release the pressure on my pressure cooker. So I'm going to do just that. Okay, guys, and now I'm just going to get that transferred over into a container where that will be its final resting place. My tub of adjika is beginning, guys. So again, I made sure not to overfill it. And we're just going to go in all of the adjika right here. Lovely, beautiful. And let's go ahead and do the next batch. So let's get the rest of the celery. Let's get the rest of, the serranos inside. Everything into my blender cup once again. And guys, the goal, it's supposed to be spicy. It's supposed to be hot. It's supposed to be pungent. It's supposed to be full of flavor. And so now I'm going to do the spices as well as a nice little pinch of salt, guys. Nice little pinch of salt. Again, just to help it, not just to get seasoned, but also for the abrasion aspect of it. Okay? And I'm going to go ahead and lid this off now. And let's go back on over to the blender and give it a couple of big pulses, guys. And we are almost done with the process of making the Adjika. So get it in there and give it a nice big shake. Shake, 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 and pulse it, pulse it. And whenever it gets all like dense and clumpy, just stop and shake it out. And this is why a food processor is better, because with a food processor, you don't need to shake it quite like this. It's a bit cumbersome with a blender, guys, but such is the life of not owning, you know, a food processor, I suppose. So I do apologize for complaining about it so much. Thank you, Jack. That was very funny. You've redeemed yourself. Okay. Ooh, I almost hurt my finger on that. Another big shake, guys. And once again, let's just get this bad boy nice and beautifully processed and ready to go for us today. And I think that should be okay. Guys, we have done it. We have completed making the Adjika. Now the last step is just going to be mixing everything in together, because of course, this batch has all of the spices. And then we're going to taste it through the seasonings that we added in. Okay? This, guys, I know this doesn't look like much, but this right here is an incredible, delicious condiment. It's also going to just go into the lobio itself. It's going to be going in towards the end. We're just going to mix everything in. We blanch the herbs. We added in the spices. This is so similar to a salsa, it's crazy. It has the cilantro, it has the chilies, it has spices in it, except it's just done with a lot of different Georgian ingredients. And guys, I think in the future, once I get a little bit more comfortable with Georgian cooking, there is a really, really huge potential for some exciting things to happen by marrying Georgian and Mexican techniques and ingredients and traditions. I think there is potential here for something really, really special. And so I would love to be able to carry it out someday. And that's not me getting like, you know, all giddy for the concept of like a fusion or whatever. But what I'm trying to say is, I think there's so much similar between these two cuisines that it can become something greater than the sum of its parts. And so guys, this is my finished Adjika. I don't actually know how to taste this because I just feel like it's going to be really, really spicy. So I don't really know how to get a proper taste of everything inside of it. But let's go ahead and do a little recap session. Is everybody tuning in? Is everybody listening? I want to hear a nice resounding yes, chef, from everybody watching, please and thank you. Today, we are doing some Georgian cooking from the country of Georgia, not the state. And so we have some kidney beans in the pressure cooker because we're doing a bean stew. So in here, my friends, we have made a little condiment called Adjika. We have parsley, we have dill, we have celery plus the leaves, and a bunch of cilantro. We have garlic, we have fenugreek, we have savory, we have freshly ground coriander powder. We have so much love, care, and affection we put into this. We have the serrano chilies, and then we also have a cubanelle pepper. So it's vegetal, and it's spicy, and it's herbaceous, and it has so much flavor. This is a staple condiment. And so I just want to see how spicy. Whoa. Spicy. And so, this bad boy, I'm just gonna go ahead and throw him into the fridge. We're not going to need him until later. And this is the kind of a thing that this is what we'll be finishing the stew with. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close this off. Everybody, I'm going to go ahead and take a second just to throw some things into my fridge, throw some things into the dishwasher. Thank you all for your patience. The Adjika component has finally been completed. Oh, guys, that is spicy. My goodness. So, guys, when you're cooking at home, you have to be cleaning as you go. Make sure that the dishwasher is empty if you have one. Make sure that the sink is empty because you have a sink. Make sure that your tools are clean, make sure that your vegetables are clean before you're ready to cook so that you're not scrambling around last minute. This is what I would expect a nice yes chef from everybody watching, please and thank you. So I'm just getting rid of a couple of things, throwing some stuff into the dishwasher, and clean as you go. We just finished one thing. This is the best possible time to get this kind of work done. Okay? Wash off my condiment cups from all that garlic, get it out of here. Also throw that into my lovely little dishwasher. Okie dokie. Well, Kyle, welcome on in. Also, if anybody's confused about what we're making today, you can always type an exclamation mark menu. Carl Hill, it is a treat to have you. Guys, that Adjika that I just made, that is so good. Like, even though it was like immediately spicy to the taste, it was herbaceous and we had so much flavor inside of it. I love it. That is incredible. Wow. I am so happy with the way that came out. I have never made an Adjika, and in fact, I haven't actually tasted one in quite some time either. Jack. What's going on, Jack? What's happening, Jack? All right, and I'm just gonna dump out my waste bowl. There we go. Everything into the trash. Lovely. Sorry guys about the delay. We are about to go ahead and take a little look at our lovely beans because it is time for them to now come out of the pressure cooker. They've released the pressure, and now the only thing that we have to do is we need to decide, has it actually cooked long enough? It's cooked with the savory, it's cooked with the bay leaves, it's cooked with the onion, so we're going to be removing all of those additional components. So guys, my lovely pot of red kidney beans, and so, everybody, I need your full attention right now. When you're doing this, whenever you're making a big pot of beans, you do not waste that cooking liquid. This cooking liquid is the heart and the soul of this dish. It is the heart and the soul of the Lobio, my friends. You cannot have Lobio without the cooking liquid, because when you're making Mexican beans, when you're doing a chili, the liquid, the cooking liquid from the beans, once it's reduced, is starchy and thick enough that it's able to hold everything together and keep it nice and saucy. The cooking liquid is the key to dishes like this. And so, let's go ahead and have a little taste. I just want to make sure that my kidney beans are cooked through. So that's all that I'm really tasting for at the moment. We're not really tasting for seasoning or flavor. We just want them to be nice and tender, right? But not necessarily falling apart. Right? It's delicious. It smells excellent at the moment, guys. So I've taken them out. I'm waiting for one of them to cool down enough. Nice and tender and creamy and delicious. Great. Perfect. I can tell you with full confidence that that's done, except the one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the bottom, because sometimes at the bottom, you can have some definitely undercooked ones. And I'm already telling you right now, all of them are nice and soft. All of them are ready to go. So let's go ahead and now take out. We added in this massive onion, and now the beauty is, because of the fact that we kept the root intact, we can go ahead and take out this onion in hopefully one fell swoop, but then it kind of fell apart. The onion has done its job. Everybody, please say thank you to Mr. Allium. Please say thank you to Mr. Onion. He contributed that lovely aromatic onion quality, that allium quality, into the rest of the stock, into the rest of the cooking liquid. Okay? And now I'm just fishing out one by one each of my bay leaves. That is what I'm getting rid of now, my friends. So that bay leaf has to go. And there's one more bay leaf I saw right over here. There we go. That's the last one. And into the bowl as well. Okay, and let me just make sure that there's no more scraps or anything. And I think that looks good, guys. So nice, big, beautiful pot of beans. And remember, this is just the start of the pot of beans, my friends. This is still nowhere near the final stage and the final place that it needs to be. Because the next step is going to be frying a bunch of beautiful onions. And then we're going to be cooking it with the spices, with everything. And it's going to be incredible. So, is everybody ready for this? Let's go ahead and get started with the rest of the prep that we need to do. Yeah, let's just get stuff chopped up. Let's get stuff ready to go. So my friends, we have, I have this leftover red onion that I wanted to chop up and use. I don't know how traditional red onions are in, Georgian cuisine. But guys, at the end of the day, an allium is an allium. So we're just going to be using these two half onions that I've had left over. And so this is something that I want to teach all of you. You do not have to overthink the kind of alliums that you're using. At the end of the day, just as August and Ryan said, I want you to use what you have at home. If a recipe calls for white onions and you only have red onions, 9 times out of 10, it'll still be delicious. It'll be slightly different with a different kind of allium. It'll be different with a different kind of onion, but it will still be good. And so we're just going to be dicing them up. So guys, this half onion, this half red onion, I'm just going to give it a nice big old peel. And I'll do the same with this guy. Nice big peel. Get all that onion skin off and into my waste bowl. Okay, guys, and now let's make sure that we have a plate or like a little bowl or something just to go ahead and put them on. Okay, and I'm just going to be using this one. And so guys, we're looking for a small to medium dice here. We're looking for these fried onions to contribute their sweetness. We're looking for them to melt in. We're going to beautifully and properly fry them in a bunch of oil. Okay, and so We want to make sure that we have a nice small to medium dice. We're not looking for a large dice because we're not looking for massive chunks of onion, but we're not looking for so fine of a dice that we don't feel any of the onions on the inside. And so we're looking for that nice middle ground, my friends. At the end of the day, it's also a bean stew, so if you do slightly mess up, it's fine. So guys, root attached, half an onion, we're going to be doing the onion fan method. And so all that we need to do, guys, we're going to go down and make a bunch of incisions. We're not cutting through all the way to the end, just incisions. And we're fanning out the onion. We're fanning out the onion. We're fanning out the onion. We're fanning it out. Okay? So we have this lovely onion fan, guys. And now all that we're going to need to do, my friends, is we're going to get a nice, again, medium dice on these bad boys. Medium dice. So these are the kinds of pieces that I'm looking for. Beautiful. Okay? And then guys, whenever your cutting board gets a little bit too crowded, just feel free to take your bench scraper and clean up your station. Just clean it up and get it ready to go. Okay, because the last thing, the thing that I hate seeing people do is I hate seeing overcrowded cutting boards. Can I please get a yes, chef? Listen, you're at home. I'm not telling you to buy a butcher block. I'm not telling you to buy everybody a yes, chef. I want to make sure that you don't need a massive, massive cutting board. But what you need is to just be frequently taking things off of it and putting it elsewhere. You're at home, especially if you live in an apartment, you don't have the space for a cutting board that doesn't fit in your dishwasher sometimes. So we just do this instead, guys, okay? So medium dice, okay, just into the bowl directly, and then we're going to go down through here. We're just going to make sure that the onion fan goes all the way through, and just get this all properly and beautifully diced up. And now I'm using, again, a mixture of the white and red onions here. That's totally fine, guys. At the end of the day, you don't have to overthink cooking. Right? A lot of things are a lot more substitutable than you would think. There's very few rules in cooking that you can't break. Okay? And so, let's go ahead and do this again, my friends. Just once again, making a bunch of incisions all the way through. Nice medium fan for a medium diced onion. And dice, and dice, and dice. Just like this, my friends. All the way down, all the way through. And whenever my cutting board gets crowded, because this is a fairly small cutting board, let's go ahead and get that all transferred into my pot. Okie dokie. And a little bit more, and a little bit more. Okay. Once again, just cleaning up my station as I go so that nothing gets too messy. And let's do the very last end, the very last chunk of this bad boy right here. Just get all of this onion cut up, my friends. Does anybody have any cooking questions for me in a moment? Beautiful. Guys, we have officially one large onion, right, the equivalent of which, 2 onions that have now been officially chopped on up. And now it is time for us to begin the sauteing stage. So I'm gonna go ahead and quickly rinse off my knife. Just get that done and get that out of the way, and then we'll proceed with the sauteing. There you go. And I'm just going to give that a nice little proper wipe off. Okay, my friends. So, this onion is sticking to that knife today. Oh, trash can cavern. That sounds lovely. That sounds really fun. Okay, guys, I'm just wiping off my knife nice and quick. And now we're going to get into the sauteing stage. Jack, you said, can we agree that chef knows more than any other pro chef? Yeah, I feel like I do know more than most pro chefs. Hope this helps. I do know quite a bit about cooking. I've been cooking for a very, very long time. Alrighty, my friends. So I am going to go ahead and get this pot of beans out of here. And instead, I'm going to go ahead and get another pan ready to go and onto a medium heat. So guys, we are now going to be frying up some onions. This is going to be the final resting place. Ooh, I should not have put my hand in because that pan is heating up. This is going to be the final resting place of all of the beans. So you're going to want to start with a nice neutral oil. If you have animal fat, that would be pretty ideal. In my case, I'm just using a peanut oil. You can use a vegetable oil. You can use a canola oil. In this case, I'm not using olive oil because I don't feel like I really want the taste of olive oil inside of this dish. All I'm really looking for is an oil that will just be the medium between the pan and the onions to get them nicely and beautifully fried. Traditionally, I do believe that a lot of Eastern European cooking, a lot of Russian cooking, a lot of Georgian cooking, I think the most common oil that is used is sunflower seed oil. Sunflower seed oil is the one that you see all the time. And so guys, we're going to need a nice generous amount on the bottom of the pan, because remember, the goal of the oil is to be the intermedium between the onions and the pan itself. So everybody, let's tap in for a second. Let's talk about this. I need your attention. I need your attention for this one. I need to make sure that all of you are listening to this because this is really, really important. It's often talked about with restaurants that the reason why their food tastes better is because I need a yes chef from everybody. Everybody, please. It is often talked about with restaurants that their food is better because of fat. And the answer is yes and no. Restaurant food isn't necessarily just better because it has fat. Everybody says, oh, the sauces, they have so much butter in it, that's why it tastes better. And that's actually kind of nonsensical. Restaurants do use more fat, but they use them in key stages like sauteing or frying something or lubricating something. The beauty of oil is that it's able to evenly wrap around food as it cooks. And when it evenly wraps around, it's able to go ahead and get things nicely and evenly browned. Everybody, I need you to consider something for me. I need you to consider for me the texture of the onion. So even though it looks like it has a flat side, when it cooks, the reality is all food, it always shrinks up a little bit and then it exposes its edges. My biggest pet peeve is when people say, oh, I don't want to cook with fat. And they go to a non-stick pan with like a drop of fat. The food that they get isn't properly golden and fried, but rather it's steamed and colorless on the inside, and then it's burnt on the outside. And the reason for this is because the oil is what is able to properly wrap around the food. The oil is the intermediary between the pan and the food itself. The pan is flat metal, the food is, a solid chunk. You need the oil. Let me say it again. You need this amount of oil in order to properly get beautifully fried onions. Not burnt onions where the sides are burnt. You ever see somebody try to make fried onions in a non-stick pan? Where they have like 1 teaspoon of oil in a massive vessel, right? And the onions are softened and they're definitely cooked, but they're not beautiful and golden. That's because you need the oil. And so yes, that botch, it will be on the test. And so you can fry things in non-stick, you just need enough oil to do so. And so the reason why I use non-stick would be for something like eggs, right? And so that's my little food rant at the moment. People aren't cooking with enough oil. You need to understand what oil does. Oil lubricates, oil stops things from sticking, and oil wraps around your food, okay? This is where I would like another yes chef. I just want to make sure that all of you understand this. And so guys, the process of frying these onions, it's going to take a little bit of time. There's a few stages to this. The first process is the collapsing of the onions. The number one mistake that I see all the time is that online recipes, they say what? They say saute your onions for 2-3 minutes. I'm looking for beautiful, deeply, deeply golden onions. And so onions are wet. We first need to collapse them. We need to get them to release their excess liquid, and then once we evaporate the liquid, that process of sauteing them is going to take some time, but we will get some nice and beautiful golden onions. We're not looking for like deep brown caramelized onions, just some really, really nice golden ones. Okay, and so that's ready to go. My pan has been getting nice and hot on a medium heat, just to make sure I have no cold spots and hot spots. Just slowly going at a medium heat, my friends. I have not heard of him. I've not heard of who that is. I don't know Motokichi Yukimura. I don't know who that is. So guys, my oil, it's gotten nice and hot. And again, the goal isn't for it to be screaming hot. This is a process that might take up to 10 minutes sometimes, 10, 15, 20 minutes, depending on how wet the onions are, depending on how much oil you have. Be patient. We're looking for deeply, beautifully golden fried onions. Is that clear? Okay. So let's get all of my lovely onions inside of the pot now, inside of all that oil, nice and hot. But again, not smoking hot or anything. We don't need smoking hot. Let's stir it around, make sure it's coated in all that oil. And now guys, we're going to hit it with a nice generous pinch of salt. Okay? We're going to season the onions and we're going to help facilitate the extraction of all that moisture. Get them nicely and beautifully seasoned. There you go. And we're going to need plenty of salt later on as well. And let's get these bad boys frying. Let's mix them around. And guys, this is not the stage where you have to mix them too much. Right? All I'm really doing is just making sure that they're all covered in the oil. But everybody, this is a process. This is a cycle. So this is the cycle of medium temperature vegetable cooking. The first stage is the collapsation stage. This is where the pan goes from a sizzle to a psh sound. And it's going to get lower and lower end. You know something is sizzling if it's a high end psh. You know it's almost boiling in its own liquid if it's a lower end psh. So it goes from a psh to a psh. So that's the first stage. The second stage is the evaporation stage. That's where we go from a psh to a psh. We get rid of all of the liquid and then we're going to build up that sizzle again. And then once the liquid is evaporated, we have all the oil remaining and then we'll be properly frying the onion in said oil. So we're still in the first stage, my friends, okay? It's still releasing the water. It's not going to build up any color at the stage, and you do not need it to. Medium heat, and you're just stirring it around to make sure it's evenly cooking. The water on the bottom is going to look cloudy because that's the oil being suspended in the water. The water is suspended in the oil, okay? So, it takes a little bit of time. They don't do this when frying onions in a wok, it's done so fast. So on Nameless, the reason why that's possible is because when you have so much oil and you have so much heat and you're stirring it that constantly, there is no time for really the onions to release any water. There is enough oil in there that it's almost like deep frying. Stir fries are basically deep fries. And then also, you can get a little bit of color in the beginning. I want you guys to think about hibachi for a second. Think about hibachi. And think about the way that they sort of like fry onions at like a hibachi restaurant, right? Where they do get a little bit of color in the beginning, but the color is very like superficial and on the edges. You don't get like a deep golden brown, you get like a slight char on the outside. So if you're looking to intentionally get that slight char on the outside, you would do a high heat. High heat in the beginning, like a super high heat, oil, and then you'd be like super quickly stirring them around to make sure they don't burn. But it needs a really high heat. So you're trying to brown them in the first step before they release their liquid. This is why I specified we're cooking them over a medium for a longer amount of time to get a deep golden brown. Does that make sense on Nameless? Did that explanation make sense? Okay, so while the onions are going, we'll just give them another stir to make ourselves feel better about them. And they smell lovely, guys. I don't have to talk to you. I don't have to do the cooking cliche thing of being like, oh, my fried onions, they smell so good. But they do. Okay, and so let's go ahead and move on to the rest of the prep that we need to get done, my friends. So we have, of course, the rest of the celery here. The celery, again, super essential in Georgian cooking. We're not going to be sauteing it. We'll just be adding it into the proper boiling stage. Okay, and so we're just going to go through this and get this into a super fine dice. The goal is to really treat the celery almost like an aromatic, especially the leaves. Okay, and so guys, all that I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and take this bad boy and I'm going to cut it in half lengthwise. Right, I had these properly washed and everything. And now I'm going to cut it up into sticks. Right, all the way through the vegetable. Just like so, my friends. And we're going to cut it up super small. Again, the goal isn't to get a massive chunk of celery. The leaves we're going to cut up a little bit closer, but I want the celery to infuse and flavor my pot of beans. Does anybody have any cooking questions for me in a moment? Is everybody paying attention? I want to hear a nice yes, chef, from everybody watching. I'm going to keep having you guys do this when chat is slow. So we're just planking it up, guys. We're planking it. We're getting it done. We're making it happen. There you go. Lovely. And let's get the rest of it done. And so guys, I want you all to pay attention to the sound. The sound of the pan is changing. So let's come back nice and close. And I'm going to do something uncharacteristic. I'm going to shut up for a second because I want you to listen to the onions for 5 seconds. Ready? Do you hear how that sound has changed? Do you hear how now it has become a sizzle once again? And now that's because the water is beginning to properly evaporate. So this is the stage where we can start risking burning the onions. So we give them a nice good stir, we're scraping up the bottom, and we're continuing to let them cook. The collapsation stage is done. And now, my friends, we're in the evaporation stage, and then after the evaporation, we get into the frying stage. What kind of meat would I use for this dish? Jack, I wouldn't use any meat. These are both innately vegetarian dishes, so I would make a separate meat dish. So, my friends, we have all of this celery right here, and so we're going to go ahead and now get this bad boy nice and cubed up. So, I want to talk about knife skills really quickly. Here is something that I see people and home cooks do all the time. They want to take a bundle that's too big for their hands. If your hands are anything like mine, parentheses dainty and petite and feminine, sorry, I keep doing this bit all the time. You can't actually hold too big of a bundle. Something that you will learn over the process of cooking is knowing how much can you hold in your hand at once. You can do this big stack, but it's going to be falling out and it's going to get really chaotic and messy. Instead of letting it get chaotic and messy, my friends, let's just do this in 2 batches. Let's just do this in 2 goes. Yes, it takes a little bit more time, right? But you're keeping it neat and organized and you're able to focus on your knife skills. So, pinch. We're pinching. Ooh, excuse me. That's still the spice in the air. I'm gonna have a sip of water. We pinch with the pinky and the thumb. Stack it up, pinch, and then we use these three fingers, the index, the middle, and the ring finger, okay, to just guide the knife. And I'm looking for a fairly, not a fine dice, but a small diced onion, okay? Again, same idea as the onions, not so they completely melt away, but not so that we get a big chunk of celery. Does everybody understand? And we're processing it, and we're processing it, and we're going through it. And guys, that is now one little bit of celery that we have officially completed. Let's go ahead and get this transferred over. And let's do the second batch. And so the leaves, I'm going to cut them up a little bit more closely because those guys I would like to feel on the inside. Let's get all of this processed and ready to go. So it is hard, Everglade. And so this is why I'm showing you. So Everglade, can you tell me a little bit about what you're challenging with? Or like what you're like finding difficult with cutting long things and cooking? I would love to know because maybe I could help you. Guys, you can ask me very small technical questions too. I'm here to help everybody learn how to cook. I'm here to help everybody at every stage of the process. If there is anything that you struggle with as a home cook, anything, think of the really small stuff. I can give you advice to help you really optimize something. Okay? So guys, all of that celery has now been beautifully processed and ready to go. And now let's go ahead and do the celery leaves, which we're going to just slice up. So let's get all these bad boys nice and stacked up for us. Something like this. And just shred it up, guys. A little bit closer, though. You find big onions hard to chop finely. So, Jack, what about it specifically do you find difficult to chop finely? What is it like during that process that you find like, oh, this is challenging? So give me the specifics. Get into the real specifics. Name the real mechanics, and I will be able to help you. You just got to help me first. Help me help you. Okay, guys, guess what? All of that celery is done and ready to go. The long things slide and are difficult to hold in place and to be cut into uniform pieces. So Everglade, if they slide, it sounds like the batch you're holding is too big. Because the whole point is you're supposed to be pinching with your middle, or with your pinky finger and your thumb, and holding that stack together. And if you're finding it difficult to hold that stack together, I would first try with a smaller stack. Because again, really the thing is this, these are your control fingers, right? The pinky and the thumb is the control fingers that hold it in place, and then these top three fingers, they hold it down and it guides the knife, okay? So guys, we have all of this celery, beautiful, right? The celery leaves chopped up and ready to go for us. Nice, nice, nice. We're continuing to patiently fry the onions. Do you guys see how long the process of frying the onions is actually taking? This is a labor of love. It takes time. This is not the kind of a thing that you can rush. In order to get beautiful, golden fried onions, you need fat and you need time. And guess what? Life has plenty of both. Okay, so that has now been done. And now we have to go ahead and move on to the cilantro. Again, guys, also sold as coriander. For those of you who may not know, coriander and cilantro are interchangeable. Guys, cilantro is the heart and it is the soul of Georgian cooking. And so this cilantro, all of this is going to go into the Lobio. And I know this looks like a lot of cilantro, but guess what? It is a lot of cilantro. That is the point. Okay, and so now we have to make a decision. Do we do this the traditional way and do we keep some of the stems? Chad, what do you think? Do you think we're going to take the stems off? Because the cilantro has to cook. The cilantro does need to cook down. So half of it is going to go into the pot and get cooked, and then half of it I'm going to almost like add in towards the end. I think let's take it off the stems. Let's do this the Daramgar method. Let's take all of it off the stems because truthfully, I don't like the texture of the stems, guys. I mean, maybe the ones that get cooked through is fine. I don't like the texture of cilantro stems. I will forever die on this hill. And that might be a big waste of time because look at this massive pile of cilantro that we have. But let's just do it. Let's get rid of it. Sorry that I asked you a question. I did the complete opposite of what I said. So guys, let's pluck off the leaves. And this is a really good time to ask me any cooking questions. So, Jack, you said I have the problem to cut them very fine, even if it's sharp. Ooh, man, that spice is still in the air. Jack, I'm reading a good question. Give me a second. And the onions split apart, and instead of cutting them, I then chop them by accident. Okay, so Jack, the issue that you're describing is because of the fact that you're cutting a large onion, right? So because of the fact that it's so large, you're not able to get a very nice big wide grip on it. And so what I recommend doing, instead of cutting onion halves, I recommend cutting onion quarters. Doing an onion quarter is a lot easier and a lot more, a lot more manageable So doing it in quarters, again, it will take a little bit longer, but it will get you the result that you're looking for. Oh, guys, these onions, they're becoming nice and golden and delicious looking. And so, again, this is where we're lowering the heat. We have officially finished the evaporation stage, guys. This is where they're caramelizing. This is where they're browning. And this is the stage where you can easily, if you're negligent, Chad, are you negligent? This is the stage where you can easily burn them. This is where we're stirring them every 35 seconds, every minute or so. So yes. No, chef, good. I'm glad that we're not negligent. Jack, you're not negligent. Dolinga, you're not negligent. No, we're not going to burn these onions. And so once again, we're going back here every so often, we're scraping up the bottom, and we're making sure that there's no onion stuck to the sides. The sides are where the onions can most easily burn, my friends. And we're not in the business of burning onions, are we? We could also do some tomato paste in here, by the way. In fact, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and get that ready, because we're about to be finished with the process of actually cooking the onions. And again, guys, this specific dish, Lobio, right, it just means beans, right? All it means is it means beans. And so there's a lot of different ways to prepare it. The original dish that I took inspiration from wasn't using tomato paste, but there's a lot of versions that do use a little bit of tomato. And so I think that bit of tomato, especially because this is an entirely vegan dish, it's going to give it a little bit more oomph and a little bit more meatiness that would otherwise be missing. Right? Because tomato paste is really umami. Food that crunches in your mouth when it's not intended to is awful. Yeah, I agree. And so I just find like the cilantro stems, they just get stuck. Right? They get stuck and it's super, super unpleasant. Okay, my friends. So we're continuing to process up all the cilantro. In Russian, it's kinza. I actually think it's similar in Georgian. Not entirely sure though. Just getting all this stuff processed, all of it ready to go for us today. And guys, this is the heart and soul of Georgian cooking. Georgian cooking has, quite frankly, a ridiculous, ridiculous amount of cilantro. Also, Slippy EG, thank you so much for the sub. Thank you. Yeah, I did give some good stretching content on Twitter today. I showed you guys how to stretch your hands for gamers and for chefs. In fact, guys, would you like to see my stretching routine? Would you guys like to see how to properly stretch your hands? Would you guys be interested in that? Because I think it's very important for anybody that cooks, anybody that works with their hands, this is preventative. In order to prevent longer term hand issues, stretching is essential for anybody. Guys, I play, an hour or two of fighting games a day. I'm doing 3 hours of cooking streams. I work with my hands all the time. And so stretching is essential. So, chat, can you remind me in 5 minutes to give you that demo? Because we just have to do all of this stuff first. This has to come now. 5 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys that demo, okay? So, we're going through all the cilantro. Again, you don't have to do this. I just don't love the texture of it. I love a much more refined product at the end of the day. Okay? And I'm going to give my onions a little stir. I am going to put my cilantro on pause for a second because we are about to get done with the actual browning stage of the onions. And so, I just want to make sure that my spice is ready to go. Oh, it already is. Wait a second. I already pre-measured everything. That's right. Okay, guys, the onions are almost done. I want you all to take a look, actually. Look at the beautiful, beautiful color of all of my cooked onions, guys. Look at that stuff, huh? Looks incredible, doesn't it? And so now, guys, now that we are officially at this stage, we will now be adding in the garlic. Why did we not add the garlic sooner? Well, we don't add the garlic in sooner because we would risk burning it. Garlic is full of sugar. Garlic burns so much sooner than the onions do. Okay, guys? So, the onions have now been fully and beautifully fried up. Look at that color. Guys, don't those onions look nice? I think they look quite nice. Let's get all of this garlic inside. This is going to be used for the lobio. And the garlic, we want to make sure that we're constantly mixing so that it does not burn. We're mixing it, we're mixing it, we're mixing it, guys. We're breaking up the cluster, we're mixing it, we're tapping it off with a spoon, and we're properly frying it in all of this oil. We're infusing the oil, we're toasting the garlic. Does everybody understand? I want to hear a nice yes, chef. Please and thank you. We don't have to worry about frying the celery. We'll get to that in just a second, guys. So just keep mixing, fry that garlic, let that aroma hit you, okay? And now that the garlic has been fried, we're going to do a big squish of some tomato paste. Not too much. I don't want this to become chili-like. I just want some tomato paste, and I want to also fry off the tomato paste. Just a little bit in the oil while we have a second of time, guys. A little bit of tomato paste, onions, and garlic. This lobio is going to be full of love and flavor and care and affection, my friends. This is going to be one delicious pot of beans. Are you excited? Is everybody excited for this? Because I am. Okay. It's like the start of a really basic, delicious tomato sauce, right? And now, guys, We fried up the tomato paste. We fried up a bunch of that garlic. Let's go in with Mr. Bean. So, a couple of big scoops, and we're going to get the liquid too, so we don't need to strain all of it off or anything. Let's get all of this inside, my friends. Liquid and all, and I'm using the spider just so I can get the beans out, because we don't need all the cooking liquid necessarily, right? I just want to first get the beans out, and then I'll measure out how much cooking liquid I want. So all the beans first. That is my first priority. That is my first goal. Every single last one of these beans, my friend. All of them inside. Guys, we're making a big pot of beans today. We're making a bunch of lobio. Guys, this is going to be some serious, serious business. Okay? All of those beans in, my friends. Every single last one. In fact, actually, I could have probably just dumped out the whole pot. I think we do need all of that cooking liquid. Yeah, we will need all of this cooking liquid. I could have just dumped it out in one go, but that's okay. Let's just do this now. You know what? Let's save some of the cooking liquid. I don't think we need all of it, because that way it could get a little bit too starchy. Okay, my friends. Now, this is the beginning of something special. Now we have all of our lobio inside, and now it's ready to go. And now, guys, the goal is to get this bad boy nice and cooked. This is going to be really, really similar to almost refried beans, right? I keep talking about the intersection between Georgian cooking and Mexican cooking and the amount of similarities that they actually end up having. So we're going to be boiling this down. We're going to reduce that liquid. And now, guys, we also need to add in all of my celery, because I want to get my celery nicely cooked in as well. We're going to get this pot of beans reduced. We're going to get it saucy. We're going to mash a few of them up, and it's going to be pretty gosh darn incredible. And then we're going to add in some of the Adjika. Are you guys excited for this? I'm excited for this. So let's go in with that, and let's also go in with my summer savory, all inside. Right, my 1 teaspoon of savory, my celery, and then, guys, we're also going to need, of course, plenty and plenty of salt. Let's get this bad boy up to a boil. But remember, everybody, it's starchy, it's viscous. If your heat is too high, you will squelch it on the bottom. So this will need a fair amount of babysitting. We're going to need to go in there and stir it fairly often. Okay, so we're stirring it up. We're making sure that all the seasonings, everything's inside, and we're going to do half of the cilantro now and the other half towards the end. 5-minute reminder. Oh, trash can Mom, you got me good. But we're not ready yet. Let's just go ahead and finish up the cilantro. I want to first just get done with the cilantro. Guys, let's do the cilantro first, and I'll show you the hand stretches. And then we'll do a recap session, and then we'll begin on the mushrooms. The mushrooms, I do need to set my oven on to 350. Okay, so that's just ready to go for this. So, guys, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do the cilantro first, and then I will teach you all. I'm going to give you my full attention, I promise. All the cilantro, all of it ready to go, my friends. Get rid of all of these stems. And I used up for today, by the way, an entire bundle of cilantro. I used some of it for the Adjika. I used some of it for, the lobio itself. What do we forget, Jack? Jack, what do you mean? What do we forget? Oh, to hydrate? Thank you for the reminder, actually. Okie dokie. And let's get these leaves off. And let's get these leaves off. All right. Almost done, my friends. I know this is taking a while. Look how much cilantro we have here. This is a pile. This is the heart and soul of Georgian cooking, so we need a lot of cilantro. My friends, we are going to slice half of it now. I want half of it to cook in, and then I want the other half to be added into the final few minutes, just so that we get to keep a lot of its fresh flavors. So as always, everybody, you know what's about to happen. We're going to give it the baby bird treatment. The thing that you do not want to do is you don't want to chop your herbs. You don't want to crush them. You don't want to macerate them. You don't want to destroy them. If you do that, my friends, you expose all of that chlorophyll and they lose all of their flavor over time. We slice in this household. We use the full length of the knife. We slice it all the way through. We don't chop it. Is that clear? Can I please get a yes, chef? We don't chop it, we don't crush it, we slice it. So my friends, let's go ahead and take the cilantro and we're gonna bundle them up and we're going to hold it like a little teeny tiny pathetic baby bird. Not so firmly that we crush its brains out and not so gently that it flies out of our hands. And we take our baby bird and we set him down and we go in and we give it a nice slice, and we slice the baby bird, my friends. Slice it and we slice it and we slice it and slice it and slice it. All the way through, because I'm not looking for massive leaves for today. And we just slice it, guys. And we just slice it and we slice it. Full length of the knife. We're never chopping. Minimal vertical pressure. Also, Serena, I hope you feel better soon. Minimal vertical force, minimal vertical pressure. We're just slicing all the way through, my friends. Your cat approves the destruction of baby birds. Cats do just kill birds for fun, don't they? They do, they just do that, just to prove something, just to feel something. Okay, guys, that is a nice, big, beautiful bundle of cilantro. Okay, and now let's use our handy-dandy little bench scraper. Let's scoop it all up. We're not going to go ahead, we're not going to crush this anymore. We're not going to destroy it anymore, guys. We're going to add half of it into this pot and let it cook down. Guys, look at that beautiful pot of beans. Guys, do you see that pot of beans? Do you guys see that thing? Do you guys think that looks good? Guys, half of the cilantro in at this stage, and then the other half will be in towards the end. Look at this pot of beans, my friends. Gorgeous. And you can already see it's getting nice and beautiful and thick. Oh, guys, this bean, it's going to have so much flavor. It's going to have so much love. It's going to have so much care and affection inside of it. It's going to be pretty gosh darn incredible. Guys, this is so similar to red beans and rice, right? It's really, really similar in some ways. And I just find that so amazing about Georgian food. Oh my God, wait, guys, I think, I might have made a mistake here. I've realized for the time that the mushrooms are cooking, I don't think I really have much to do while the mushrooms cook for 25 to 30 minutes. I should have started the mushrooms sooner. I messed up. How am I going to kill 25 to 30? I mean, we'll do a little bit of cleanup. We'll figure it out. Guys, we might be in a little bit of trouble for today. We might be in a teeny tiny bit of trouble. But we'll figure it out, okay? Everybody, we are now going to begin with the mushrooms. We're going to make the mushrooms. We're going to make them really nice and delicious. Is everybody excited for them? The Lobio, the kidney bean stew, my friends. It's cooking down with the cilantro, with the herbs, with the savory, with the garlic, with the onions, and it's getting more and more flavorful. We made the Adjika. We're going to do it. We're going to go ahead and make it happen, everybody. So let's go ahead and move fast, and let's get these mushrooms started. So guys, I have here a lovely plate of mushrooms that all I did was I simply washed them out. And so the goal is we're going to stuff these bad boys full of cheese. That's what you wish you were. A mushroom stuffed with cheese. That is. I'm going to just go ahead and get rid of this really quickly, throw that into my dishwasher while I have a second of time. And so guys, let's go ahead and take the stems off. The worst thing, I'm going to teach you how to destem a mushroom. And we're going to save the stems to make a beautiful stock after. Well, not today, but another time. So guys, let me go ahead and show, I can't do the hand stretches yet because we have to do the mushrooms, Ben Zhukov. When the mushrooms are baking, we'll do the hand stretches. How's that sound? Okay, so my friends, here's what you're going to do. You're going to cup the mushroom. You're not going to rip it out aggressively. The stem takes a little bit of finesse. The step takes a little bit more effort, so I need everybody's attention. I need everybody's eyes on this. We're not using a paring knife. We're not cutting it out. We're going to go in here and we're going to give it like a little nudge, like a joystick almost. Okay? And then it just pops out. We give it a nudge, and then we get more and more comfortable with the amount of force that we're actually applying to it. And the only thing that I'm going to do, my friends, is I'm going to take my paring knife, and I might scoop out some of the inside if I feel like it doesn't have enough space for the cheese. And all of these mushroom scraps I will be using for a mushroom stew, or like a mushroom stock, rather. So I'm just going to go in, and I'm just going to just give us a little bit more space to go ahead and put the cheese into. None of these mushrooms will be going to waste, I promise. These were all thoroughly and properly cleaned out. Okay, I'm using white butter mushrooms. You can also use cremini. You're just looking for a mushroom that has enough space on the inside that you'll be able to stuff it. Also, I've not made mushroom ketchup, and also hundo. I don't know where mushroom ketchup actually comes from. I don't know anything about mushroom ketchup, really. I don't know what culture, I don't know anything about it. Okay, guys, and so we're going to do this one by one with each of them, and we will inspect each one as needed. So gently, like a joystick, guys, we pop out that stem. And look at this one. Look how deep this hole is. Okay, this hole, it's got plenty of space. Okay, and all I'm going to do once again is just clean up that inside ever so slightly and just make sure that we have space for the cheese. In the meantime, guys, remember, don't forget about your beans. Do not forget about Mr. Bean. We're just giving him a little stir, and we're mixing him around just to make sure he's not scorching on the bottom. Low heat is your friend. Low heat, low and slow, will evaporate the liquid, and we'll have a beautiful, beautiful pot of Lobio. Okay, guys, let's go ahead and do the next one. And let's just go ahead and pluck out the rest of the stem that was stuck on the inside. There you go. And once again, guys, just carving him up, just cleaning him up slightly, and just getting rid of all of that. Beautiful. And so we just have to do this with each of them. Does anybody have any more cooking questions for me in the meantime? Okay, so this one, guys, as you see, was a little tricky. Let's try to see if I can dig out some of that stem that we left behind. Yeah, we just have to go through all these mushrooms and get them prepped and get them all ready to go. Get them nice and pretty, nice and beautiful. Guys, just again, gentle, gentle nudge and pop it out. And sometimes, again, the center part stays and that's okay. Yeah, that should be okay. Beautiful. And the next one. Oh, that one was just perfect. And the next one, just pop it out. We're not using a knife for this, guys. We're just popping each of them out. And that was the timer on the oven, by the way. So that's just telling us that that is all ready to go for us. Okay. And let's do the next one. Okay. Would I make mushroom ketchup money? Jack, I don't know what you're asking me. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be like so rude with that. I just don't. I'm a little confused, I'm afraid. Okay. And the next one, guys, almost done. Just a couple more to go. And again, you just want some nice intact big button mushrooms. You're looking for cremini mushrooms, just anything that looks stuffable. I want you guys to go look at a mushroom and think, man, without a stem, I could put cheese in this thing. That's all. So I wouldn't use a maitake. I wouldn't use like an oyster mushroom. I wouldn't use any of these guys. I wouldn't use a shiitake because they're too flat. So just the plain simple white button or the cremini. I bet this would also be really good with like a large portobello mushroom. Okay, the large portobello I'm sure would also be pretty delicious. And give that guy a nudge and pop out that stem. Beautiful. So this stem right here, I just want to go ahead and go in there with my finger because again, we just need the space for the cheese. Everybody, these mushrooms are now ready to go for us. I'm going to go ahead and just get rid of all these little mushroom scraps, freeze it, make a mushroom stock out of this. Okay, or you could slice it up and stir fry it or something. I don't know. Do whatever you want. Okay, live life the way that you desire. So I am going to get a sheet tray ready to go, and I'm going to show you exactly why. Everybody, I'm going to... I dropped some sheet trays. Excuse me. Everything is fine. That was really loud. That scared the hell out of me. Please excuse me, everybody. Okay, we're so back. Everybody, we are so back. So here's what I'm going to do. I have here these lovely ceramic dishes. So guys, the way that, this dish actually translates, right? Which I forgot the name of it for a second. If somebody types an exclamation mark menu, is mushrooms baked in a clay pot. I have here some porcelain dishes, some ceramic dishes that are really, really nice. You don't have to use one of these. What's it called again? Oh yeah, Soko Kecze. I completely forgot it for a second. So guys, all we're going to do is we're going to lube it up a little bit. A little bit of olive oil, and this is going to go into the oven. I wouldn't use metal. I would just use a ceramic baking sheet. I would use a glass one, or I would use a clay pot quite like this, right? And so here's all that we're going to do, guys. I'm going to go back into my beans first and just make sure, again, nothing is scorching anywhere. Nice low heat. This beautiful bean stew that we have going, that we have happening here. Just stir it up, scraping up the sides, scraping up the bottom. Low heat, guys. Patience is the key. I probably added too much cooking liquid, but that's okay. So, a little bit of olive oil now. There you go. And that could have been a little bit much olive oil. So I'm just going to go ahead and wipe some of it off. We just need enough to just glaze up the bottom, just to make sure that the mushrooms don't stick or anything, okay? So a little bit of olive oil. And now, guys, we're just going to arrange as many mushrooms can reasonably fit inside of this little vessel. And so that is actually perfect because I think in total I have like maybe about 13 mushrooms to get through. Something like that. Okay, guys, look how cute that looks. I think that looks pretty cute, doesn't it? In fact, I could have probably stuffed them first before arranging it, but that's okay. So we're going to go ahead and heavily salt these bad boys. We're going to make sure that they're nice and seasoned, right? Because we don't want bland mushrooms. Chat, do we want bland mushrooms? I want to hear a no, chef, right now. Please and thank you. Okay? And I'm going to go ahead and set this one aside. And let's go ahead and get the next vessel prepped and ready to go for us. And again, just a little bit of olive oil just to be able to glaze up the bottom. a little teeny tiny droplet more. Just a drop. Just the teeniest and tiniest of drops. There you go. And just spread it around. Lovely. We do not want bland mushrooms. You want to make a meme compilation, Jack? Yeah, you can do it. Just nothing too awful. That you could post in a Discord, Jack. That would be good. Okay, guys, I'm stirring up the beans. Let's go ahead and get back to the mushrooms. Let's go ahead and put them into my lovely dish here. Okay? And let's go ahead. You know what? I'm going to take one of the mushrooms from the other dish just to have this one be a little less lonely. Okay? And guys, we're just going to go ahead and season this bad boy up with a bunch of salt. Where did I put my salt? I keep losing it. Aha. I found it. The heat on these beans is still too high. I feel like that's still simmering a little aggressively for my tastes. Let's season this up. Okay, guys, the next step that we're going to need some butter. So we're going to put a little teeny tiny piece of butter inside of each one. Also, Erica at home, welcome on to the show. Hope you're having a beautiful day today. So I am going to go ahead and just set this plate aside. Let's go ahead and get some butter, and we're going to get a little piece of butter inside of every single little mushroom, guys. Stuffed with butter and cheese, you can't really go wrong with this. So, and we just need a little bit of butter, guys. We're not looking for a crazy amount. So this is like at most a teaspoon of butter, I have to say. Right? Nothing too crazy. Keeping it really, really simple, really, really delicious. It's just going to help the cheese melt. It's going to make these mushrooms that much richer. It's going to make them that much more delicious. And I could have done a little bit more there probably. And let's do this one as well. There you go, guys. And let's go ahead and do the same thing with the other one. So I'm going to go ahead and get that dish out. And now, my friends, it is time for us to finally grate the sulguni. So if you would like to do these stuffed mushrooms and you don't have access to sulguni cheese, which is the traditional cheese that is used in this kind of Georgian cooking, you can just use something like a nice fresh, not a fresh mozzarella, but just like a good melting mozzarella. I think that would do quite nicely. Okay, every single one of these mushrooms have now been stuffed with the butter. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of my cheese, my butter now. And let's get the cheese out of the fridge. Guys, if your cheese is too soft to grate and shred, is there like light shining on my face? Guys, is my face like overexposed at the moment? Erica, Oaxaca cheese would be amazing. I did mention a little bit earlier. Yeah, guys, at the moment, we're in that time of the year where this is just like shining super heavily on my face. So I gotta get like another blackout curtain probably. I think that would be the way to do it. Ugh, that's kind of annoying. It's pretty obnoxious. There's a light just shining directly into the kitchen. It's like right in my eyes, actually. Okay, guys, let's go ahead and get my cheese grater. And I'm going to once again just stir up my pot of beans, my pot of Lobio, that we just have slowly cooking here, everybody. And we'll taste in just a little bit. Okay, and let's go ahead and grate up some of the sulguni, guys. So once again, block of sulguni that we have here. But yeah, Oaxacan cheese, mozzarella cheese, just the sulguni is the thing that makes this dish distinctly Georgian, right? But this technique, guys, this is such a simple side dish. And so, Erica, yeah, absolutely, adapt it to the kinds of things that you have. Oaxacan cheese would be amazing. So guys, here's what I'd like to do. If your cheese is crumbling too much, first put into the freezer for 15 minutes. Second of all, box grater. I like to keep them nice and flat. And that way, nothing spills out onto the cutting board. And let me show you. So all I do, guys, is I just do this directly on top of my box grater. We're obtaining our lovely, beautiful shreds of sulguni. Is everybody paying attention? I want to hear yes, chef, right now, please and thank you from everybody watching. Let's go ahead and get my sulguni nicely and beautifully grated up. And we're grating, and we're going, and we're going. Nice big shreds, everybody, okay? And we're going to need roughly 4 or 5 ounces of cheese for this, so not a lot of cheese at all. I don't know what I'm going to do with the rest of the sulguni, but I'm sure Daramgar can figure it out. Nice fresh sulguni, not a smoked one. I felt like a smoked one might be too dry, okay? And so I'm going to go ahead and grab a plate to just throw this on. I'll just use my mushroom plate since it's already out and ready to go. And guys, again, the beauty of using a box grater is that we're able to take it and directly dump it onto the plate instead of having to scoop anything from the cutting board. So that is my lovely plate of sulguni cheese. Okay? I'm just going to throw this bad boy into the sink because we're not going to need more. And all I'm going to do, everybody, is I'm going to go through each of them and stuff it with my cheese. That's all we got to do, guys. Nice and simple, nice and easy. So get a bunch of that cheese inside, jam it in, cram it in, right? You just don't want it to be overflowing. You don't want it to be overflowing past the edges. You want it to all stay contained nicely within the mushroom. Or also, just don't listen to me and have it completely overflow. Completely cover this with the cheese. The issue is, though, if it overflows, the cheese that overflows can dry out and burn inside of the oven. So making sure that it's all together is, in a way, keeping the cheese compact and moist enough. Right? So we're folding up that cheese. We're pushing it all into this pocket. Okay? Just like this. Beautiful. Every single one of them, guys. Let's get them nice and stuffed. So guys, do you see how delicious this dish is going to be? It's butter and it's cheese and it's a mushroom and it's all baked together. This is the kind of a dish that I was craving because on Wednesday's cooking show, right, when I did the sauteed mushrooms for the spätzle and I had it the next day, I was like, wow, why don't I cook with mushrooms more often? But I feel like I do get bored with my typical sauteing ones, right? Like just sauteing mushrooms all the time, it gets kind of boring. And so when I had the idea to make some Georgian food, I wanted to do specifically a Georgian mushroom dish. So we'll be able to show off this incredible product, the sulguni cheese. We'll be able to show that off. We'll be able to get some mushrooms in. Guys, I was looking forward to this for like half a week, which is a considerable amount of time. And let's get the last of that cheese into that one. Beautiful. Guys, this tray is almost ready to go. I'm gonna get a little bit more stuffed into this one. Again, just make sure that nothing is really coming out of the edges, right? So all the strands are nicely and properly tucked in. There you go, guys. That's one tray of mushroom stuffed with the sulguni. It is essentially a vegetarian pizza bite. That is definitely one way to think about it. Why not? Okay, guys, and let's go ahead and do the same thing with my other tray of mushrooms with that butter. Are you guys excited for these mushrooms? I want to hear a nice yes, chef, if you are, please and thank you. Because guess what? I am. Look how much cheese we're able to squeeze in there, guys. We want these things full of cheese. Right? Just get it in there, pack it in, pack it in. Every single last one of these little mushrooms. Ooh, in fact, I might need to go ahead and grate a little bit more cheese, it seems. Yeah, I do think I ended up running out. And that's okay. We'll get a little bit more. Pack it in, make sure it's not overflowing, keep it neat, keep your station neat, guys. I'm going to go ahead and get my cheese grater again. And we're just going to do this one because it's going to just be directly over the plate. So I'll just do it onto the plate itself since it doesn't have to be transferred anywhere else. A little bit more. Is there vegan or cheeseless versions? Benjukov, I mean, you can do a baked mushroom. I don't know if there's any good like vegan melting cheeses. So I don't have a lot of experience with that. That's not particularly my field of expertise. So I'm afraid that I'm not going to be able to share that information. Let's get all of that cheese stuffed in, everybody. None of it go to waste. All of it on the inside of that lovely, beautiful mushroom that we have. Okay. Each and every single one. Okay. Guess what, guys? I think we've done it. I think we've officially done it. And so I'm doing this a traditional way, right? Inside of a clay pot. Or like this clay dish that I have here instead. You don't have to do it on that. The material I would recommend would be ceramic or glass. The reason why I'm not recommending metal is because metal does conduct heat quite differently from as opposed to the ceramic or the glass. Okay, and so in order to get this specific product, we're using a ceramic or porcelain dish. I'm just giving my beans another stir, just make sure they're doing okay. Beautiful. Okay, guys, guess what? We have officially gotten all the prep for these stuffed mushrooms done. Let me just show off to you my beautiful tray. Let's look at these bad boys. Guys, these are my Soko Kecze. I think that's how it's said. I do keep forgetting how to pronounce it. Just plain old mushrooms, seasoned up with salt, stuffed with butter, stuffed with cheese on a clay dish. And now I'm going to put it into a 350-degree oven for 25 to 30 minutes. So we're looking, guys, for the cheese to get nice and bubbly. We're looking for the cheese to get nice and melty, nice and cooked. We're looking for it to get slightly, very, very little brown on top. Okay, so I'm setting my timer for 10, 20, 25, 30 minutes, and then we'll check on it after 25 and see if it needs any help. Everybody, the mushrooms are officially inside of the oven. The beans are going. The adjika is done. So now we can take a second to clean up and slow down. Everybody, if you have any cooking questions for me, now would be a really good time to do so. I'm going to put away my cheese and we're going to do a recap session. Is everybody still watching? I want to hear a nice resounding yes, chef, please and thank you. I'm just wrapping my cheese up, and it's gonna go back into the fridge. And so, I wanna probably Google and figure out different things I can do with sulguni before it does go bad after all, because I do have a nice big block I need to get rid of. Okay, and I'm gonna have some of the sulguni as a snack. Delicious. Yeah, it does taste identical to a mozzarella. And so, there is a part of me wondering, I do wonder what is actually, so a lot of different cultures, they do make a lot of similar types of cheeses, right? Because they all come to very similar conclusions at some point. And so I am wondering, I don't actually know the difference between a sulguni and a mozzarella or like a Oaxacan cheese, because they're all within like the same kind of family, right? As in these are like good, plain, unaged, melting cheeses. So guys, I'm just cleaning up my station. I'm cleaning up my cutting board. I'm getting my heat back on to the beans just so that they're going and they're going confidently. And we're just getting all of that nicely and beautifully cooked down. Gorgeous. Okay, what else do I need to clean up? What else do I need to put away? I have this tomato paste that I no longer need. The tomato paste has done an excellent job for us today. And I'll throw that into my fridge. And so guys, again, this is a good time for any cooking questions that you may have. It can be about ingredients, it can be about produce, it can be about techniques, it can be about anything that you would like. And this would be a really good time to do so because we do actually have quite a bit of time to accidentally kill. Normally I'm a lot better with my planning, but today I might have dropped the ball a teeny tiny bit. So I do apologize for that. And just getting all the stuff thrown into my dishwasher, out of sight and out of mind. Don't have to worry about it. This is why you always have to clean as you go, my friends, and start with an empty dishwasher. You will thank me later for doing so. Okay. Cooking doesn't necessarily always have to be so messy, but if you just save a big pile of dishes for yourself at the end, then yes, it can and it will be messy, my friends. Just get all of this stuff thrown away. Lovely. And throw that into my dishwasher. We're getting everything done, guys. We got so much stuff done today. Alrighty. And let's put my cutting board away too. Beautiful. And I'm also just going to wipe off my station. Is everybody still paying attention? I want to hear a nice yes, chef. Please and thank you. Okay. Let's get rid of all of this. I'm just wiping off my surfaces, staying nice and composed. Again, I do apologize for the lull in immediate things to do, but we'll get there. I still have a couple things in mind, a couple things for us to be, you know, entertained by. Get rid of my savory, get rid of my spices. Okay. And I'll throw that inside, and I'll throw this inside. Although we might need the savory, we'll adjust it for seasoning after. So, everybody, we are now going to do a proper recap session. So, everybody, we started off today. We pressure cooked some kidney beans. So we got them nice and tender. In the meantime, we made a really, really beautiful Georgian condiment called Adjika. Georgian food is a cuisine that, quite frankly, not enough people know about and not enough people talk about. And one of the essential condiments, one of the essential components for today, my friends, is the Adjika. Adjika is so similar to almost like a salsa or like a sofrito in Latin American cooking. This Adjika specifically uses a bunch of cilantro because you cannot have Georgian cooking without cilantro. So here's what we did. We took cilantro, parsley, and some dill, and we put it into hot water and shocked it in cool water. We did that so it would be a lot more fridge stable and not lose its flavor over time. We chopped up some serrano chilies for the heat, some cubanelles just for a little bit more vegetal flavor, some celery because celery is all over Georgian cooking as well, some fenugreek, and then of course the most essential Georgian spice of all, the savory leaves. So savory leaves, coriander seed that we ground up ourselves, some fenugreek, those herbs that we talked about, the chilies, and of course plenty of garlic and salt. And guys, that is our Adjika. And the Adjika is going to be added to what we currently have on the stove, which is a Lobio stew. Lobio, all that means is beans. And so guys, we have this incredible red kidney bean stew happening and slowly cooking away. We fried some onions, we fried some garlic, we added in the cooked beans, we added in some dried savory, we added in tomato paste, some celery, and of course, a bunch of fresh cilantro. And we're just letting all of this, with the bean cooking liquid, we're letting it slowly reduce. The bean cooking liquid, my friends, that is where all the starch is, that is where all of the viscosity is. Okay, and so we're letting it cook, we're letting all the vegetables soften, we're letting it develop some beautiful flavor. And then we'll be finishing it with vinegar, cilantro, and some of the Adjika that we made. And the Adjika is going to bring flavor and heat and spice, and the cilantro is going to bring more freshness, and the vinegar for some much needed acidity. And in the oven, my friends, we have mushrooms in a clay pot. Mushrooms that have been stuffed with cheese and butter and are now baking away in an oven at 250 degrees for roughly 25 to 30 minutes. So I'm stirring up my mushrooms, guys, or my beans. I think it is time for us to have a little taste test. I want to taste the beans because they've been cooking this whole time. I haven't gotten a single taste of those bad boys. That's so good. Oh, that's so simple, but, You know what, guys? The celery is kind of the unsung hero of that. The celery is coming through so much more than I thought. That has incredible flavor as it is. But the Adjika is the thing that's actually going to go ahead and take it over the top. Right now, it's missing a few things. It's missing salinity, it's missing acidity, it's missing the rest of the cilantro, and it's also missing the Adjika. So it's getting really, really close. But now, let's go ahead, and it's almost there in terms of final texture and viscosity. And now guys, let's go ahead and mash some of it up. We're going to mash it up almost like we're doing a refried bean. And so, I'm going to go ahead and take a little potato masher, and we're not looking for all of it to be mashed up, we're just looking to up the viscosity of this bean stew. And so guys, you also see a lot of variations that use walnuts, you see variations that use pomegranate. My beans, my Lobio, by comparison is really, really simple. This is really simple food, but really delicious. And so guys, we go in there, and we go ahead and we press them all down. We give them a big old mash. Can I please get a yes, chef? We're going to mash it, and we're going to up the thickness, and we're going to up the viscosity, right? We're going to release all the starches from the beans, but we're still going to keep plenty of them nice and intact. So we're going in, and I should probably hold on to the pot while I do this. And so, let's just get this done. I'm sorry to make you guys say yes, chef so much. This is what happens when nobody has anything to say to me. I know, guys, I know this doesn't look that glamorous at the moment, but I promise you, this Lobio is going to be phenomenal. It's really, really simple, really, really delicious food. Okay, and okay, okay, and it's all coming together, my friends. Okay, and now let's go ahead and just get some of these mashed beans out. And again, we're not looking to go too crazy with this process, my friends. We're just looking to do it enough that it just changes the texture of the stew into something a lot more thick and something a lot more viscous. And we're concentrating the flavors. We're continuing to cook all of it down. So, Coit, are you familiar with Georgian cooking? Because I feel like I don't get to meet a lot of people that are also quite familiar with Georgian food. Especially if you're by any chance American, right? Because not a lot of people do. And that was the whole point of today's thing, was that I wanted to show off how beautiful and delicious Georgian cooking can be. Okay, and we're going, and I'm stirring this up. I'm getting everything that is dried and stuck from the bottom. I'm getting it all back inside and incorporated. And now, my friends, let's go ahead and season it up once again. We're going to do a big hit of salt. The Adjika is going to have some seasoning, it's going to have some salt, but it's not going to be too much. So big pinch of salt, okay? And let's go ahead and do a nice couple of big spoons of the Adjika, right? This condiment with all the chilies, with all that flavor. And I'm not looking to really cook it out that we don't taste anything in there anymore, right? I just want all those flavors to properly infuse. And then I'm going to do a nice big splash of vinegar. In fact, the more I do this, the more I'm realizing this is so similar to, like red beans and rice, right? So a nice big splash of vinegar going inside for the acidity. And now, my friends, we are transforming this. We are mixing in all of the Adjika, we're mixing in all the vinegar, all of the salt, and we're going to get this to a final product and a final consistency. And then we'll finish it off with the cilantro, because I didn't want to overcook the cilantro or anything. Big, beautiful pot of all of these beans, my friends. Get all of it inside, get all of it mixed through, all of those herbs, all of those spices. Beautiful. Just scraping up the bottom, scraping up the sides, and I got it all mixed in. And now let's go ahead and have another taste, my friends. So we're tasting now for some spice, we're tasting for the acidity, we're tasting for the salinity. Let's see how we did. Oh, guys, that Adjika, the Adjika is the thing that really, really makes it. Wow, that is so good. Guys, that is so good. Oh my God. You're getting all of the herbs, you're getting the Adjika, you're getting everything now. That is amazing. In fact, I kind of want to amp it up a little bit more. I want to do another spoonful of Adjika. I want to do another splash of some vinegar inside, because I really want to get that acidity turned up, and I want a little bit more salt, my friends. And then I think it's going to be perfect. All right, so let's get that salt in, okay? And now let's mix, let's shut off that. Let's keep the heat on, actually. Let's get everything mixed in once again. Okay, mixing everything inside, getting all of those flavors nicely and beautifully incorporated. Okay. Everything absolutely mixed in. And now let's go ahead and give that another taste. That's what I'm going for. That's perfect. My friends, that is really, really delicious. That is perfect. Let's go ahead and shut off the heat. And now the rest of the fresh cilantro, just gonna go inside. Everything on the inside, guys. And that is my finished Lobio. That is my finished red kidney bean stew. Everything for it has now been done. And that looks pretty remarkable. Well, actually, remarkable depending on who you ask. That is a big pile of beans, but I do find it to be quite beautiful in its own little way. I'm actually gonna have one more taste. I just want to taste it again. This combination of beans and vinegar and chilies is almost universal. Like, you see this in a completely other part of the world, in, Cajun Creole cooking and Louisiana cooking with red beans and rice. Right? It's just so universal. It is just so core in a way to humanity. That, guys, is an incredible, incredible pot of beans. And then also, at the same time, we have the mushrooms going. The mushrooms are almost done. And then we'll be pulling them out, and then we'll be eating and enjoying everything all together. So I'm gonna take a second and dump out some of the water. Alrighty, Serena, well, thank you for being here. I'll catch you another time. I will see you once again this Wednesday. So I'm just dumping out the water, and I'm just gonna go ahead and throw everything into the dishwasher. Okay. And we still have a little bit of cook time to go, my friends, on the mushroom, so I do apologize for that in the meantime. Okay. Everybody, we have done it. We have officially completed the Lobio. We have finished the beans, and now all we're doing is we're waiting on the mushrooms. So we have about roughly 15 minutes that we need to kill, and so this would be a really, really good time to ask me any and all cooking questions. But actually, I do want to do the stretching demo. Let's go ahead and do that while we have a second. I'm gonna just wipe off my face from all the steam. So, everybody, wakey wakey. Let's tune in. Let's tap in. Is everybody watching? I want to hear a nice yes, chef from everybody that's still here. Because we're going to walk through something that is really, really important. Okay? We are going to be walking through how to properly stretch your hands. If you're watching me, you probably cook. If you're watching me, okay, you probably play video games or something. And so, the majority of people, they don't actually do proper hand stretches. Hand stretches are really, really important because they're preventative for, longer hand complications that you may have. If you're sitting at a computer all day, this is something that everybody would be benefiting from. And so, the kind of hand stretches that I do, really, really simple, guys. It takes maybe 2 minutes out of my day, right? All that we're doing, we're extending our hands. In fact, I'm not gonna do like a guided stretching thing. That's too much, that's too embarrassing. But the kind that everybody that works with their hands should be doing, okay? Guys, I'm just extending my arm nice and flat, right? We're doing palm to the sky, and then we're taking our fingers and pulling them all the way as far as you can towards us until you feel a good stretch. And then we're holding them at that position. So guys, you see how flexible my fingers are? Mine are fairly flexible. Most people can't do this. I stretch my hands a lot. And so we're going to go not as far as me, right? But until you actually feel that burn, we're going to go up and we're going to go ahead and give our hands a rotation. Taza, welcome on in. I'm teaching people how to do proper hand stretches. Okay? And so we're killing a little bit of time because the mushrooms are in the oven. And so guys, still palm to the sky, we're going to take our hands and we're going to pull this, including the thumb, towards us until we feel it in the back of our wrists. I can pull my hands pretty far back. And we're going to also do that for another 30 seconds. I'm not going to do this guided because that's too embarrassing. And then guys, we take our hand and we flip it around, palm to the ground, and same exact stretches except in reverse, right? So we take our hand and we pull it in towards us. All the fingers feel it in the back of our wrist. And then the same thing like this, guys. Take this and you're going to feel this in the front of your wrist. So 1, 2, flip it over, 3, 4, and you're going to do this on each of your hands for 30 seconds each. And this way, I do this every single day. And as a result, my hands have been feeling pretty excellent lately, very agile. I've been gaming. So my friends, the Lobio has been completed. We are currently waiting on the mushrooms to go ahead and catch on up. They have about 10 more minutes, 12 more minutes of baking to go, and then we'll check in on them. The Lobio has been completed. The Adjika has been made as well. The mushrooms, they smell pretty excellent in the oven at the moment. Although, I could have, now looking at them, I could have probably stuffed them with a little bit more cheese. That would have been good for us to do, I think. Oh well. They did look a little bit empty. And so, because we have some time to kill, now would be a really good time to ask me any and all cooking questions, please, and thank you. In the meantime, I'm also going to go ahead and just get these thrown into my freezer. These are all of my mushroom scraps. And so, what I'm going to do is the next time I do mushrooms, until I have a big batch of mushroom scraps, we're going to make a really, really beautiful mushroom stock. So let's go ahead and I'm just gonna throw that into something and put it into the freezer for us, for later. Just get that done and get that out of the way, right? And so, I think I should be a little bit better about actually using up my scraps. I feel like with my vegetable scraps, I've been pretty bad about it. I've been really just throwing them away instead, right? And so, I want to start building up like a proper stockpile of vegetable scraps with which to make a broth with. So I'm just going to get all of this thrown inside, get all the air out so it doesn't freeze or burn or anything, right? Get it nice and flat so it doesn't freeze up into like one big cluster. And let's throw that into my freezer. Yeah, guys, I'm looking at those mushrooms and I'm looking at them and I do wish I stuffed them with a little teeny tiny bit more cheese once we took a little look at it, but that's okay. In fact, we could probably plate up the Lobio and have a little snack while we do wait for the mushrooms to be completed. That is also an option for us at the moment. Just gotta kill some time, guys. I apologize. Normally, I'm really, really good about pacing myself. Maybe it's a good time to also check in with people. How are we doing today? Just tell me about something that's going on. I'm normally so good about this. Normally, I have everything planned out. I have everything ready to go. We normally never have any downtime. I haven't had downtime in a long time. Ooh. That does look pretty excellent. Okay, I suppose we could get a little taste. Tyler, but today's pretty good. I'm happy to hear it. Suede, thank you. That's very kind of you. Guys, let's have a little bowl. I think we should have a little treat for ourselves at the moment while we wait for the mushrooms to come in. How's that sound? What games have I been playing? Duolingo, just Isaac, and Brawlhalla. That's all that I've been really doing with myself. I've been playing a lot of Brawlhalla lately. Okay, I am going to go ahead and get myself a nice, generous portion of my beans. And I'm going to have a little treat while I wait for those mushrooms to be finished up. There we go. Beautiful. Oh no, I could have, you know what? I messed up, guys. I could have saved a little bit of parsley for garnish, but that's okay. I think I'm just going to do some dill for garnish instead. Let's have a nice little portion of this. Hi, Kaze. Hope you're doing well today. Kaze, we're just currently waiting for the mushrooms to be done cooking. You started up Stardew again? That's right. It was a pretty big update. Saw a lot of my friends playing it again. So guys, I'm just going to get this with a little bit of dill. I wish I had more cilantro, but alas, we did use up all of it. Every single last bit of it for the Lobio. And now guys, I'm going to have a taste. This has so many vegetables. This has so many herbs inside of it. And so, has a really, really beautiful, rich viscosity to it. It has all the onions, has all the garlic, it has all the chilies. This is so good. I love beans. Gosh, let me tell you what I love beans. If I had one food that I would eat for the rest of my life, it would be beans, it would be legumes. Beans, from so many different cultures, have been so heavily developed and flavored, and there's so much history behind it. There's so much that it represents in terms of it being peasant cooking, and the fact that this was the cheap thing that people used to eat because it was bountiful and available. I love beans. I love the texture. I love the creaminess. I love red beans and rice. Every single time I make any dish from any culture, whenever I do, Louisiana cooking, I always come back to red beans and rice. Anytime I, do Mexican cooking, I always come back to like my pot of like chorizo black beans. Now that I'm doing this, I am understanding the beauty and the joy in this, guys, because you have like the creamy, super like tender beans. You have like all the different flavors. You have all the different chilies. You have all the different herbs inside. You have all those different spices. It's simple and yet it's so delicious. With some bread, this would have been probably ideal. Let me just go ahead and continue to snack on this in the meantime. That Adjika, honestly, greater than the sum of its parts, and I'm genuinely impressed by this Adjika that I made. This stuff, I'm going to have to try and figure out how I'm going to use this throughout the week. Maybe we'll do some more Georgian food on Wednesday, but this is going to be my challenge. I made a bunch of Adjika, and now I want to know how to properly use it up. So I'm just going to have that back into the fridge in the meantime. Your roommate made this in a feast of other Georgian food in the summer. It was glorious. Well, I'm happy to hear it, Everglade. Not enough people know about Georgian cuisine. It has so many different cultural influences from so many different places. The next time that we do Georgian food, which is going to be soon, I would love to at least feature a meat dish, and I would love to feature something with walnuts in it. Because walnuts and pomegranate, especially if you think about like Middle Eastern cooking and how close Georgia is to the Middle East, there's so much Middle Eastern influence there, right? Georgian food suggestions? Yeah, Jack, what do you have in mind? What do you have in mind for Georgian food that I might not know about? The one that I really, really want to do above all else would be like the stuffed eggplant rolls. I forgot what it's called, but the stuffed eggplant rolls are one of my favorite dishes, easily. They're like stuffed with like a walnut cream inside and they're garnished with, you guessed it, pomegranate. And it is one of my favorite dishes. I love it to death. 7 more minutes roughly left on the mushrooms. We can just go ahead and have a little peek at them because the goal is just to get the mushrooms cooked through, guys, and just to see that the cheese is all nicely melted. I'm just washing up a knife really nice and quickly. Yeah, that is one of my favorite Georgian dishes. It is so good. So much Georgian food is like greater than the sum of its parts. It's a lot of like very like humble herbs and a lot of different like produce, and then they all come together, and there's so much vegetarian food. People think of like Georgian cooking as always like, oh, super meat and lamb heavy. Not necessarily true. There's so many dozens and countless vegetarian dishes because meat was hard to come by historically. And so that's one of the things I love most about it. There's just so much to it. It's such a deep and rich cuisine. And so the next time, I'd want to consider the eggplant rolls. I don't know how easy they are to do at home though. How's my mushrooms doing? Oh, they're looking pretty good inside. Yeah, another 6 minutes will do them quite well, I think. Because the goal is just to get the cheese nice and melted, to get the mushrooms nicely and fully cooked through. 6 more minutes to kill, guys. That's all we got left. Now we'll check out the mushrooms and we'll have a proper feast. Man, that pot of beans, that is so good. And the next thing that I want to do with the beans is I want to do like a bean salad, because the way that I kind of, grew up eating Lobio was like in a cold form. Do I like to experiment when I'm cooking? Well, cause it depends on what you're asking. I do go into a lot of cooking with, I'm going to try something to see if I have a difference. I feel like I've done a lot of the experimentation that I needed. That I'm gonna say this, and this might sound a little too confident, a little too pretentious. I feel like I kind of know the end outcome of almost everything I do in a kitchen. Like I know what works, I know what doesn't work. And there's always more that you can like push and question on what you do. How long would it take to do those mushrooms on a charcoal grill? Juice Scoop, great question. Because you're still like on a charcoal grill, like still shooting through the same temperature, I would still say, 350 degree, 400 degrees for 25 to 30 minutes, Juice Scoop. Although on a charcoal grill, I feel like it would be even better, right? Because it's gonna be nice and smoky and delicious. A pot of harcho would be really, really good, Jack. That would be excellent. So good. Guys, it is so simple. It's so delicious. The mushrooms, they got about 4 minutes on them roughly. The only thing I'm gonna do, guys, is we're just going to take a peek at them because I don't want my cheese to burn or anything. We're just looking for the cheese to get nice and melted, maybe hopefully a little brown on top. I am considering putting them under the broiler slightly, just to be able to get that slightly charred effect on them. How's it looking? Oh, it does actually look quite good. And so the only thing I just want to make sure of is I don't want my cheese to dry out or anything, right? Because it can start to form like a bit of a dry layer, which can be quite unpleasant to eat. So let's go ahead and have a little peek at these bad boys and see how they're doing. Oh, actually, that does look pretty good in the moment. Ugh. I feel like I could definitely push them a little further and get a little bit more color on them. But guys, that is the beauty of a stuffed mushroom, by the way. It is filled with all of that mushroom juice on the inside. And so, I think what I'm going to do is, I think I'm gonna get my broiler going. Let's get the broiler started, and maybe just like a little bit of color on top of the mushrooms themselves. So all the cheese has been melted, the mushroom is now nice and tender, nicely and fully cooked through, okay? And all that's gonna happen is it's just going to go slightly under the broiler just to get a little bit of extra color on the top. And it's gonna be lovely. Really, really simple, really delicious. And again, this is why you don't want like much cheese leaking out, because it just kind of dries off at the bottom. Not super, super pleasant. Okay, and I'm just gonna move the sheet tray over to get that bad boy right under the broiler. Okay guys, and now I'm just gonna transfer it there, and it's going to take maybe at most a minute. At most a minute. The only goal at the moment, guys, is just to get a little splash of color on my mushrooms. And then we'll call it a day and we'll dig into it. So, my broiler is going, my broiler is ready to go. I'm going to glove up. Let's get a bit of color on the mushrooms. So yeah, I mean, Jack, that would be good, but that's the kind of food that I would instead just prefer to go out for. I do not work with doughs, you are correct. And that will not change. Okay guys, just gonna go directly under the broiler, and this process is barely going to take any amount of time whatsoever. Just a few seconds, pop it in there, get it nice and delicious, nice and bubbly on top, and then we will serve. And I'm just going to continue eating my Lobio. Quite literally just a few seconds. I'm just taking a peek at it every so often, just to make sure that it's not charring, right? Because we don't want to destroy it. We don't want to burn it into oblivion, guys. We just want to get the cheese on top nice and bubbly. Okay. Just getting my towels ready and folded so I can just pull everything out as I need it. Okay, and let's see. Oh, that is perfect at the moment, isn't it? I don't think I want to push that any further now. Good, beautiful. That's all that I wanted, guys. Everybody, I think it is time for us to go ahead and serve up a couple of these mushrooms. They're really hot. They'd be probably better if I let them cool down a little bit, but especially the ones in the back, they got some really, really nice color developed on them. Okay, and I'm just gonna go ahead and grab a plate, and I'm gonna go ahead and grab a fork. Let's go ahead and turn the oven off, because that is now fully cooked through. And I know it doesn't look like the best thing in the world, but it's just simple butter and cheese and mushrooms, so you can't really go wrong with this. So guys, I'm just going to go ahead and grab them one by one. Just going to get a few of these onto my plate, and we're preserving all of those delicious mushroom juices inside. And now, my friends, oh, they're gonna be hot. They are gonna be hot, so probably cutting into them immediately is not a good idea, but I would like to get a little taste of them. My friends, we have done it. We have done everything that we needed to today. Today was a stream of Georgian food. So we did a beautiful pot of Lobio, the red bean stew. We did a thing of Adjika, right? This really, really delicious condiment, right? So here's my red bean stew with the Adjika. I know this food doesn't look particularly appealing, but this is simple food. This is home food, guys. This is comfort food, with spices and lots of cilantro and herbs and fenugreek and coriander. And these mushrooms, guys, using the traditional Georgian cheese, the sulguni cheese. Just basic white mushrooms stuffed with butter, a little bit of salt in there as well. And now they're just filled with all of that delicious mushroom juice, all that mushroom broth. So let's go ahead and get in there and have a little taste. Get back in there. It's a really, really stretchy cheese. And so again, if you don't have sulguni, you can always do this with mozzarella or something. I bet this is going to be incredibly hot. So good. I could have probably done more cheese. I think I could have stuffed these bad boys with like twice the amount of cheese. Yeah, that's that kind of exactly what I was craving. It's simple, it's buttery, it's salty, it's cheesy. I could have probably done twice the amount of cheese on these things. That is perfect, and it's filled. And the beauty of doing a stuffed mushroom like this, guys, is that it gets filled with all of that mushroom broth. You guys, you can't go wrong with something like this. Just next time, I would do this with a bunch more cheese. Okay. And that's it, everybody. That's going to be doing it for today. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. I apologize for how kind of like dead the stream was in the middle of it because we didn't have too much to get done. Next stream is going to be this Wednesday, 5 p.m. EDT. Everybody, thank you so much for being here. Thank you all. I appreciate all of your support every single Wednesday, every single Friday, every single Sunday. You know exactly where to find me. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning along. Once again, this Wednesday, 5 p.m. EDT, hopefully some more Georgian food. I think that'd be quite nice. I hope you all have a really good rest of your Sunday. I hope you all have a really good night. Hope you all stay nice and safe. And I will see you all in just a few days.